Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. The show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 71 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for January 2023. My name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, and editor here at the Arcade Repair Tips video series, and joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Jonathan.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. Isn't that crazy? Last year just seemed like a blur.
I'm telling you, 2023. I mean, it seems so futuristic. I was playing Teenage Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, the arcade game with the kids, and one of the future dates in there is 2020. And now I realize like how far away we are even from that. 2020 seemed so futuristic at one point, and now we've blown right past it, Tim. So happy 2023 to all you guys out there. We hope that you had a great Christmas and a great New Year's, or whatever else you had, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever else you guys celebrate. Hopefully it was a great one. But we will be doing all sorts of stuff tonight on the live show, answering some of your arcade repair related questions, going over some news, Tim. Quite a bit of news broke. In fact, we had two big stories that broke literally within the last 3 days that kind of got added to the outline last minute. So we'll be going over that stuff as well. But let me check in with you, Tim. How are things going? How was your Christmas, New Year, just generally?
Well, good. Had some time off. My son was in from South Carolina, and so we had all the kids and, good family time. But at some point, it was kind of like I almost was ready to get just in a regular routine. And this week has been a little bit of that. It seems like we're, something about just coming home, going to work, we stayed so busy. There was so much to do, so much to prepare for, that it kind of wore me out a little bit. But I was glad I got to see some good football games and did have some time off, so never going to complain about that.
And we'll talk about those football games in the after show, right, Tim?
Yes.
So, for those of you guys who may be watching for the first time, we do the live show, which is all arcade repair talk. And then after that, we have about a 5 or 10 minute break, so me and Tim can run to the restroom, basically. And then we come back and we do the after show. Of course, if you're listening to this on the audio podcast feed, you will need to find the YouTube version of this episode in order to listen to that. But we will be talking football in the after show, just as a reminder. As another reminder, Tim, we do want to mention that you guys can interact with us if you're watching us live through the live chat. And Tim, we have quite a bit of activity there tonight. And so let me go ahead and go over here real quick. So Peter is here. We got Gravere 2 is here. Delusionals Arcade is here. Arcade Dude 44 is here. Real Hammer Billy Lee is here. Matt is here. Did I get everybody at this point? Let me see if there's anybody else that I missed here. And it looks like there's already been a lot of conversation about some stuff. Matt, I saw that you said something about your question. We will be getting to your question a little bit later in the show. We do have it on the outline for tonight's show, so stay tuned for that. Let's see. Who else did I forget here, Tim? I'm just making sure I catch up with everybody. Oh, and DJ and Daddy Channel is here as well. So, we got everybody here. We're excited to have you guys here. And just, if you want to leave any comments or questions, please feel free to do that, and we will get to them as we go through the show. So, with all that said, Tim, I think we should go ahead and work into some questions. And now, I should say right off the bat, Tim, we had a flood of questions, and this is pretty common, guys, in December.
Right.
December is definitely a busy month for us. And Tim, this November was maybe one of the quietest months ever for questions.
Okay.
We barely had enough to fill up the outline last month, okay? And so we went from that to like a massive flood. So if you guys wrote us over the holiday and we didn't get back to you, there's two reasons why. One, we had just a huge influx of questions. Two, I was super busy and so was Tim. We were blowout busy. Every weekend, almost every day had something to do during the month of December. So it was definitely busy for us. So I'm still working through back questions. And so I've sent some out. I'm still in process sending more out and answering some more. So please be patient. We're trying to get through them all. And so hopefully we'll get to yours very soon. And I should always say this, Tim. We have a very aggressive spam filter for obvious reasons. We have a public email address. So if you ever send in a question, you don't hear from us, send it again. So that way, it may come through the second time. We want to make sure that we get those questions. There may be times where you sent in something and we didn't get it because the spam filter thought it was something other than an actual legit question. And so if you're ever waiting for a response from us and you don't get one in a timely manner, please send the question again and let us know. Tim, we got a couple more here before we go through. We have Current Phonograph is here, and Timmy says, greetings from California. I believe he was the big winner of the heat gun from last episode.
Oh, nice.
So there you go. So congratulations, Current Phonograph, on that. That was pretty awesome. We will be giving away something later in the show, too. So if you guys want a chance to win something else, please stay tuned, and we'll get to that soon. But Tim, let's go ahead and work into some questions. And the first one we have here is from Derek, and I'll put Derek's question up here. I have a Golden Tee 2005. I adjusted the volume and the screen went out. When I turn the power off and back on, a Think Vision logo comes on the screen and then it's blank. Is there any way, or is there a way to factory reset or adjust the screen? So Tim, we have Derek here. He's got a Golden Tee 2005, a pretty common game for the most part. I believe that's the Golden Tee 4 system. And so he adjusted the volume and then the screen went out, he's saying.
Yeah.
And now it won't come back. Now, there was a key in there about Think Vision. So more than likely, they're using probably a computer monitor. Think Vision, Tim, is usually like a Lenovo brand, I believe. Used to be IBM, but now Lenovo brand. So more than likely, they're using a Lenovo style PC monitor with this game. But now it's just blank. So whenever he brings it on, it's just blank. He's asking, is there a way to factory reset or adjust the screen? So what advice do you have for Derek as far as getting his Golden Tee 2005 back up?
Well, you know, when we're looking at kind of diagnosing a problem, we're going back to where the root cause or how the problem originally started. So it appears that he was adjusting the volume, which doesn't seem like that would do anything to make your game turn off.
Right.
But when you're in there, you have to do it while you're in there. And when you're in there, you can accidentally hit something or move something. Or probably, I'm kind of thinking maybe the connection with the VGA cable or something could have happened just by getting close to that thing. So he really needs to check all of his connections and things, because anytime you're back there messing with something, the volume shouldn't have had anything really technically to do with it other than your hands are back there and you probably knocked something else loose. The fact that he's got the logo on the screen just tells me that it's not getting a signal. And because it's getting you'll get the floating logo or whatever for just a minute, then it goes out because it says, hey, there's nothing, I'm not getting a signal from you. So thereby, I'm just going to shut down. So it's probably not playing blind or something like we would talk about. If it was playing blind, then you'd say, well, maybe something went out in the monitor.
Right.
But the fact it gets that logo is another indication that it's probably not his monitor. It sounds more like a connection. So we want to make sure the JAMA harness is connected good. We want to make sure if it has a VGA cable, the VGA cable didn't come loose. Those things are really bad about... a lot of people just plug them in and they don't actually tighten them down. Those things are bad about coming loose. Do you have any other thoughts, Jonathan?
The only other thing I thought, like you mentioned, it is coming up with the Think Vision logo, which a lot of times if we're getting something on the screen like that, the monitor is probably in good shape. The only other option that I would say is that it would be worth, if you have a computer lying around, hooking up a computer to the monitor to see if it comes on.
Right.
So this would be a good way to test that the monitor is working. So if you have it, let's say it's a VGA cable, I think that's what it is in most circumstances. So if it's a VGA cable and you've got a computer with a VGA out on it, even if it's a laptop or something, you may try to hook it up to the screen and see if you get picture on the screen. If you do, then we can definitely rule out the monitor at that point. If you're not getting picture through the computer or whatever's hooked up, then we may have a monitor problem. Maybe there's something, maybe it's okay booting like the boot up screen for the monitor, but it's not okay taking the input from a signal on the monitor, something to that effect. So that would be the only suggestion I would have beyond that. Tim, is there anything else that you
maybe his computer just happened? I mean, you could have accidentally turned it off, or, you know, the weirdest thing happens like this. I'm a great example. The weirdest stuff would always happen to me. We always used to laugh, John. I can always tell you what to do, but I can tell you what not to do because I've just about have messed up everything that can be messed up in a game. And a lot of times it's just coincidental. You can literally it could be the time that something goes out. So he definitely needs to check his computer and make sure that it's on and running. It doesn't have a bad video card or power supply or something. It could have just that little extra voltage or whatever that it took to turn the volume up can cause some things like that. But more than likely, I would think that just by being in there, it caused something along that line. But I can remember having Golden Tees back in those days, how bad the video cards were bad about going on them. The hard drives were bad about crashing on them. the computer issues just galore with those things. So those are just maybe some suggestions of other than what we mentioned already.
And Tim, you said it about Golden Tee. It is a PC-based system, the Golden Tee 4. And so with that in mind, PC-based. And so it does have a dedicated video card. And those video cards do go out. And so there's a possibility that you could have a bad video card. You may need to find a replacement for it. But just like any computer, they're more susceptible to bad voltage. And so you do want to make sure that the voltage that's coming from your power supply to the game board is good. And you want to also measure it on the board if you can. Make sure that we're getting a good 5, good 12 to that board and that it's operating properly. Tim, with all that said, let's go ahead and put up the outline here. Just adjusting the volume, like Tim mentioned, should not have caused the screen to go out. With that said, it's possible you jostled something while performing the volume adjustment. Check to make sure that the connection between the monitor and the board is good, probably a VGA cable like we mentioned. You might also want to check the monitor itself to make sure the game board is set to the proper input. Now, this is something too, Tim. On PC monitors, let's say you have a VGA and a DVI and maybe an HDMI input.
Correct.
You may have accidentally swapped the inputs when you did that. So make sure that the monitor is actually set to the right input as well. And like I mentioned, try hooking up a computer to it if you have one. See if you get a picture. Check to make sure the JAMA harness is properly connected and voltage going to the game is correct as well. If all that checks out, there's a good chance you do have a problem with your game board. If it's playing blind, it's more than likely an issue with your video card if all the monitor stuff checks out. Okay, and like I said, these video cards are known to go out, Tim, in these Golden Tee 4 style systems. You can also reseat it because it just goes into like a little slot. So you may turn off the game and then just kind of reseat the video card, see if that makes a difference. You may have to unscrew it, kind of take it out, put it back in, screw it back in. But that may make a difference too.
Yeah, we always used to look, John, I know you have probably more technical ways, but I would just teach guys to look at the fan on the video card, if it's actually turning and going, or, you know, you could actually feel it a lot of times. If it's got a lot of heat coming from it, then there's something wrong with it probably.
Yeah, like so.
Just a simple way to look at it.
Right. Not all video cards have the fan, Tim, but they do have heat sinks typically.
Yes.
And you can feel the heat sink. If the heat sink is hot, typically that's not a good sign. Anytime you have electronics that get hot or parts that get hot on a board, that usually is an indication of a failure somewhere. Mm-hmm. And you'll see, a lot of repair techs, Tim, will put their boards under thermal cameras. I know Raymond does this a lot. And so they can see where the heat is coming from, and that will help them narrow down the issue. So if you do touch a heat sink, or if the fan's not running on the video card or the heat sink's hot, then you may have a video card problem like we mentioned.
Right. And you can download like an app or something for your phone, or you can look at those thermal images and stuff sometimes too through your phone.
Yeah, depending. Yes, you can. So, but I think that about covers everything for Derek there, Tim. So, Derek, hopefully that gives you some good starting points. If you need any additional help, please send your question, write us back, let us know, and we'll try to help you out further for sure. Okay, Tim, let us go into the live chat real quick before we move on. We've got Nate Burgess here. Greetings from Nova Scotia, Tim. So there we go, Canadian. Joe said he bumped something. I think there's a very good case to be made, Derek, that you may have bumped something. It's very common. We've all done it. But, anytime you open up a game and you try even touching something, a lot of times you can move something else not meaning to. So let's see what else we got here. YouTube Punk says he's late-ish. Good turnout tonight. Yes. You're not really late, Tim. Are you ever really late here? No. Yeah. You're right on time. So, if you missed, there wasn't much to miss in the first part anyway.
No.
Just not much. So, thanks for being here, YouTube Punk. Joe says, find an old PlayStation Portable, get a VGA out cable, and it says rubber band and 8330 or other converter board to the back of it. You can test all video from your pocket. Yeah, if you want to do something like that, you definitely can. That's one way to do it. There's a lot of different, like video game console VGA out, there's a lot of those, so you could always get something like that as well. Any kind of video output signal from VGA should work with that to test. Mm-hmm. So, old computers, people just have them around. So, Big D Retro says, hey guys, I have a question regarding ROM error on my Defender. ROM failure 6 and 8. What's the possible cause? And are those common errors? Thanks. So ROM failures are common if the chips have started to go bad. So, with ROM errors, I remember Ken used to say...
The fishbowl.
Well, and this has to do with the RAM. Sometimes bad RAM can actually show as bad ROM errors. And so what what Ken would always say is just pull all the RAM off the board, put them in a fishbowl, shake them around, and then put them all back on and see if your board is any different. But if you actually have ROM errors, you will need to replace the ROMs at position 6 and 8. If you don't have a ROM burner yourself, Tim, what do we do?
Oh, you can call several people that will burn them for you.
Right. Hobby ROMs is our favorite.
Hobby ROMs is one of our favorites.
So hobbyroms.com, you can go there and they will burn you a set. So you can tell them you need the 6 and the 8 for Defender. They can get you a new set of those if those are it. But you may want to try the RAM trick first, because bad RAM can cause some weird ROM issues as well. So you may want to reseat your RAM, may even try moving around the RAM chips to see if it makes a difference. And if it's still throwing those ROM errors, there's a good chance that you actually have a ROM error. Right. And something we always talk about, Tim, with just any kind of board issues in general is make sure you got good power first. Yeah. So good power is so important. If you don't have good power, then some of those chips may not be getting the voltage that they need in order to operate, and that's why they'll read bad. So make sure that the voltage is also getting to those chips is correct. So, but you may just need to replace those depending. But I would definitely try the RAM stuff first, just because Ken always recommended that to us, Tim. And that's just reseating the RAM chips or even mixing them up to see if that makes a difference. And then if you're still getting those ROM errors, get you a new set of ROMs from Hobby ROMs and then try those and stuff instead. So let's see what else we have here. Gravere 2 says greetings from Manitoba, Central Canada.
Wow.
A lot of Canadians, you know, Tim, we've talked about this before. I've got a lot of family in Canada.
You do?
I think I'm going to be going up there this summer.
I was gonna say, you've been several times.
Several times. They're near Calgary. So I've got quite a bit of family there. So like, it's a great place. I love it. I've been to Edmonton. I've been to Calgary, and I guess that's about it. I haven't been any further west. I'd like to go to like Toronto or something like that. But
well, one of my bucket list places is Nova Scotia. So I definitely want to go there sometime.
I was about to say you need to hook up with Nate.
Yeah, well, Nate, I would love to come see you one of these days.
There you go. So YouTube Punk says, let's see. There you go. Okay, I think we're caught up. I'm just looking at stuff. Okay, everything's good. So thank you guys all for joining us and for being here tonight. Tim, just a big crowd tonight. That's awesome. You guys could be watching. What else is on tonight?
Football's There's no Thursday
There's no football. That's why you guys are all here. I understand that. Okay. So did the Mavs play tonight? I don't know. Is there anything else? Who knows? You could be watching underwater basket weaving or something. I don't know. There's other things on. So we appreciate you guys being here and watching us tonight. So and with that, now that we're all caught up, Tim, let's move on to George. And George says, I have a 1984 Gauntlet video game. The screen will come on for about a minute or two, and as soon as the game gets hot, the screen disappears. I do not see any glow on the back of the monitor tube. I am wondering if I need to replace the whole monitor, or if I can just replace the board that goes to the back of the monitor. If you sell it, can I buy it from you? Thank you very much. So, Tim, we got George here, and George has a Gauntlet video game. That's one that's near and dear to our hearts. In fact, if you guys heard about my trip to the National Video Game Museum recently, I got to play some Gauntlet.
You did?
So I don't have one, but it's a fun game. So he says the screen will come on for a minute or two, and then right back off as soon as it gets hot, Tim.
Right.
And so he doesn't see any glow on the back of the monitor. Now, we should say that just because you don't see the glow doesn't necessarily mean that that the monitor's not working. It is common to have glow back there, but you know, sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't. But that's not always an indicator that the monitor is not working, right, Tim?
Correct.
It can be, but it's not always. I am wondering if I need to replace the whole monitor, or can I just replace the board that goes to the back? Let's take that part first, Tim. So, does he need to replace the whole monitor on his Gauntlet, or just the board that goes on the back?
Well, the board that goes on the back we refer to as the monitor chassis, and that can be shipped off and repaired. We got some really good people on our page that would love to help you with that. But probably the high voltage section is shutting down, so it's in the power supply section of his monitor. Now, you could get a cap kit or something and try to rebuild that yourself, and depending on your skill set and how you feel about that. But for the price, a lot of people talk about, or you can learn to take that off, send it to them, let them repair it, and then you can replace it, and it'll work very good. Should take care of your issue just fine.
Yeah, in fact, Tim, we have a video on troubleshooting games that are playing blind. That's what was wrong with the K7000 chassis in there, that was in high voltage shutdown. And so that's common, that high voltage section. And when you have like it comes on for a second and shuts down, a lot of times it is some of those little filter caps, Tim, that are around in the power supply section that could be the problem for sure. And so it could be a bit hot too, it's possible, but for the most part, we've seen it more with caps than that particular problem. Now, with that said, we're not sure exactly what monitor chassis or monitor you have, right? I mean, that's
Correct.
something you did not indicate. And so you do want to try to at least identify what you have. And if you've never taken a chassis out before, Tim, it can be a little bit daunting, right?
Yeah, the first time is always the toughest, but once you watch our video on how to do it, I think that it's not that hard. Most everybody probably in the chat room has done this by now. And so it's a good learning process to do. Just make sure you discharge the voltage, unplug everything, stuff like that. But we got some good videos on how to do that, and I'm sure Jonathan will link those. And but overall, yes, you don't take the whole monitor out. Just need to repair the chassis, and it could just be a cap kit if you want to try that yourself. Or, like I said, you could see what kind of monitor you have and send it off, and have one of the guys fix it for around $200 or less. And so, it's up to you. Whatever you want to try, what your skill level is to try it.
I had the same problem with a K4900, Tim, and it turned out there was a cold solder joint on the high voltage line that was literally causing the whole problem. And so it could be something as simple as that. Doesn't necessarily even have to be parts. But, we'll always say if you haven't done a cap kit to a monitor in a while and you're pulling the monitor out anyway,
might as well.
You might as well, because it's like, I've already got the monitor on my bench. I might as well do the cap kit. And they're not very expensive, so if you want to go that route, it's definitely a good way to go. Tim, let me go ahead and put this up here real quick. So based on your description, George, it sounds like the high voltage section of your monitor chassis is having issues. First step to solving the problem is to identify the monitor chassis. Tim, just from experience, we know that many Gauntlet 2 cabinets had a Wells Garner 4900 monitor installed in them. Does not mean you do. Okay, this may or may not be the case on yours, depending on if the monitor is replaced at some point. You got to remember, these games are now on, 30, 40 years old, and so monitors do tend to get replaced by operators from time to time. So you may have a K4900, you may not. So it just depends, but you can always compare what you have, okay, the chassis that you have, to the pictures on the What's My Monitor page on the Bob Roberts site to see if you can find a match. And Tim, we have that link down below. Once you know that, you can begin the troubleshooting process. If you would like to send just that chassis, just the board off for repair, we do have a list of monitor techs on our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources. And we always like to recommend Paul Giray at paulsmonitors.com, which I also have linked below in the description, as he does a really good job and has a very reasonable turnaround time and rates. So very good stuff here, Tim. We do always want to identify the monitor, because that at least gives, I can tell my monitor tech. Here's the thing, though. A guy like Paul, if you sent him pictures, he could tell you what it is. Or if he even sent us pictures, we could tell you what it is. But it is, I think, developing the skill to where you can match a chassis to a picture and figure out which one you have is important. Yes. So, I mean, after a while, you've seen a ton of them. And so you'll just get to a point where it's like, that's a G07, that's a K4900, that's a 7501 or whatever. You'll get to a point where you can just identify them. But until you get to that point, the pictures on the What's My Monitor page on the real Bob Roberts site is very valuable. And again, we have that link down below in the description of the show, so you can check that out. Tim, is there anything else for George here before you move on?
No, I don't think so. Did the chat room have anything to add?
Joe just says Gauntlet is a game that requires a sock full of quarters to play. Cap kit and see what happens. And yep. if you want to go about this yourself and you're fairly confident in your soldering skill with George, you could try and start with a cap kit on this. The fact that, like I said, it kind of comes on and goes off, a lot of times would lead to more filter caps in that power supply section. Sometimes a hot maybe, but that would be about it. Or bad solder joints. Bad solder joints can cause that for sure. And so just touching up the solder may be enough to get you back in business.
Hopefully.
So there you go. So George, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting your Gauntlet back up and running. If you need us to help you identify the monitor, please send us some pictures and we can do just that for you. Okay, Tim. Live chat's pretty caught up. Yeah, we're good. So, okay, let us move on to Scott here, Tim. Scott says, I have an original Pac-Man cocktail table. Upon startup, it does kooky things graphically. For example, the processor goes through its checks and the screen blinks. The game will reset a few times for about 2 minutes, Tim.
Okay.
And then it'll start up and play perfectly. Any areas I should focus attention on in order to address a potential issue? Now, Tim,
that's an interesting question.
It's not uncommon, we should say this, for it to take a while to boot up.
Right.
Okay, so all games take a while to boot up, but 2 minutes does seem excessively long. Is that just me? I mean, do you agree with me? Okay, I mean, it just seems a little bit longer than usual. I think back to my Miss Pac, I think it literally takes 15 seconds. 10 to 15 seconds, right? And then you're up.
So it's not quick. It's not super quick, but it shouldn't take 2 minutes. 2 minutes does seem like an excessive amount of time.
Right. So we're a little bit longer than what we should be on boot up. It does play perfectly once it comes up, but it just takes a while. And if you're having a party and you're turning on all your games and it takes 2 minutes, you know, that can be frustrating. We understand. So with that in mind, Tim, what would you prescribe for Scott here as far as cutting that boot up time from the 2 minutes he's currently experiencing?
Yeah. So it's a really interesting question, because I think what he's saying is it's working, and the end result is if you had to wait 2 minutes, it's really not. Some people are probably thinking it's not that bad a deal, but at the same time, I know what he's saying. Is something about to go out though? Right. Is it something causing this? So, you know, the more I thought about this question was, yeah, it probably is something. It's taking a little longer than it should, which probably is something in the board, the clocks, and stuff like that. But you got to make sure the power is correct there, or it will take a little longer than it should. So I would check the voltage. Getting to the board at the harness right there, or where it comes onto the board, one of the fingers on the board or something, and then start checking it through and check a pin maybe and see if you could tweak it. If it has a switcher or something in it, then I would probably try to turn the voltage up just a hair to see if that helps at all. Now, if that doesn't help, then you know it probably is a board issue, and probably the easiest, you're going to have to almost wait until it does go out.
Yeah.
So just might have to live with it, in my opinion. But at the same time, if we can, I mean, there's things you can do. You can resocket your chips. You can clean your board. You can make sure that the harness pins and everything are good and that the voltage is right. Do all those things first, and see if that doesn't help solve and speed up the issue a little bit.
So I'm gonna go to one thing you said. So you said the thing about a switcher. Miss Pax did not come with a switcher.
Right. They said it was original. That's correct.
So
I should have mentioned that.
So Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, they have an AC transformer down below. That AC voltage gets sent directly to the harness. It gets converted to DC at the board level. And so, Tim, as you know, the edge connectors on Miss Pac-Man boards very finicky.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think one thing you definitely want to do is clean it and make sure that it's good. But those pins will burn. You know, I mean, especially if that voltage gets too high. I mean, it'll fry a pin off there like nobody's business.
It's almost uncommon to see one that's not burnt.
Right. And so you'll see they used to sell like the Pac-Mend kits for the harnesses that would allow you to basically put like a new harness connector on a Pac-Man board. So, I mean, that is something you can do, but it's very common for these edge connectors to have some issues. And so take your harness off, clean your edge connector really good. Make sure that's in good shape, and then put it back on. Tim, something that I think gets overlooked a lot of times with Pac-Man machines are the fuse holders and the fuses.
Oh, that's correct.
So the fuse holders can cause all sorts of things. Tim, we know the hum bar issue is something that's caused by bad fuse holders and things like this. And so, you know, you may just want to make sure that you have your fuses, that your fuses are all good and the proper amps. And the proper type.
Right.
If they're supposed to be fast flow, that they're fast flow. If they're slow, and that the amperage is correct. Okay, because if those things are not right, it will mess with the game. And the fuse holders themselves, if you haven't replaced them in a while, may want to consider getting replacements because they can cause issues as well. Tim, is there anything else we want to say here?
Yeah, it's just kind of funny that the more I'm thinking about it, we have solved so many issues by replacing those. And I can remember when I was new, I've always thought, what difference is this going to make? You know, it didn't electronically. I can't even tell you that other than making better connections and stuff like that. And I know, but it works. It works great. So I think you're on the right track there, John. I would probably change the fuse holders out for sure.
Yeah, and Delusional is backing us up here. Tim, yes, you must swap out the fuse block. They can cause so many issues. And I know it sounds crazy, but it works. We can tell you, it works.
I can't really break it down to why, but because I can remember replacing that for the first time, and I was like, I mean, we're probably talking 20-something years ago, John. I'm like, why is this going to fix this? I don't think it will, but I'll try it. And it did. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And
hum bar is one of the most common things. When you see a little hum that goes across the screen like this, I mean, that is very common. We almost always need to replace fuse block on that. But, I mean, it's just something that happens on Pac-Man games. And so we would recommend you do that. I am going to throw up the outline here so we can see this. So first, always a good idea to start a power on resetting issues like this. And it's not really a resetting issue, Tim, but we're going to treat it like one, if that makes sense. So make sure that the voltage is getting to the board harness and through the board. You can check it at ROM chips. Check your fuses, check your fuse holders, make sure they are correct and working. Inspect the harness, clean your edge connector pins as well. Very common, especially if you're still running AC, for those pins to have some issues or some corrosion or something like that. And make sure that all seated chips are making a good connection to the board. Tim, the processor, especially that Z80, you can make sure that it's on there really good. So very important. You could go with a switching power supply, but these issues can be solved without doing that typically. And Tim, I did put all of the nice Pac-Man links that we usually do down below. All the Pac-Man troubleshooting resources. We have the Arcade Game Over page that has different pictures of stuff and things like that. And all that kind of things. I have links down specifically for Pac-Man cabinets there, Scott, in the description. So if you want a couple of little websites you can go to help you out with troubleshooting issues, highly recommend all 3 of those websites we put down below. So, but that is a, like I said, that is a, the fuse holder, very common thing with Pac-Man cabinets. So.
I'm not a board repair expert by any means, but I'd almost, just the first time I read this question, I said, I bet a ROM is going bad. I wondered but in order for it to work properly, it has to have good voltage and all that, but I'm wondering if it's not something not processing fast enough, or doing what it's supposed to do and probably fixing and go out. We'll see. Possible.
So there you go, Scott. Hopefully that gives you some places to start with your repair. Give those things a shot. Let us know where you end up. And if you need additional help, please contact us and we'll help you out further. Joe says, it's just a fuse. It's always just a fuse. Well, I mean, not necessarily. It could be a fuse holder, right, Tim? Right. So you never know. But, it's just, let's see. Delusional says, my buddy, that Tim guy, just had one that was causing game not to boot. Low voltage. Fuse had continuity, but voltage was bad. Fuse block swap fixed it. You see, very interesting. Very interesting, guys.
I have seen that.
It's fixed a ton of them.
Issues.
Yeah, I was about to say. So, especially on Pac-Man style cabinets. So, if you've got Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Super Pac-Man, Junior Pac-Man, what else, Tim? What else is in the Pac family that we can count? Any of those, then, definitely.
Pac.
Yes, yeah, Super Pac, all those kind of things, definitely worth looking at the fuse holder. So. Okay, Tim, actually, I was going to go back up here. Gravere2 says, question, if using the normal JAMA harness to set up, is it possible to hook up an amp to control volume and possibly add a sub? I have a Superman that is super quiet. Yes. So what you can do is you can get an audio amplifier. You can get some that actually are designed for this from Holland Computers, which is one of our partners that we partner with fairly often. They sell an audio amp that will hook to the wires coming off the JAMA harness and then allow you to put out just RCA jacks. So if you want to go to... or they also have speaker output as well there, as well as sub output. So you can, as long as you have an audio amplifier that will hook up to those 2 wires coming off the JAMA harness, you can do that. Tim, you can find them. You can find them all over the place online and things. So, but yes, that is definitely possible. We see it all the time, Tim. Right?
Correct.
So, a lot of people like to do this with pinball machines. They'll add a sub to a pinball machine or something like that, or they'll add. For like MAME cabinets, it's probably more common because you have the computer with the output. But as long as you have the right audio amplifier that has the, the left and right input and then the output for your speakers and your sub, then you should be in good shape. And like I said, I know Holland sells those, Tim, and I know some other places. Arcade Shop, I'm sure, has something like that for you as well. Arcadeshop.com. But yes, it is possible to do that. If your game is super quiet now, you could just also put a volume knob in there. And you can also try turning it up through the test mode, right, Tim?
Correct.
So a lot of times the test mode in games has a volume up, volume down control as well. So you could try that. Or you could try putting a volume knob there to see if it makes a difference. Or check your speaker line. You may already have a volume knob that you don't know about. So and so if you have that, try turning it up there as well. Big D Retro says, a general question with Williams games. Were all the glass bezels tinted, especially the Robotron, since that is my newest project? I don't want to say all of them were, but a lot of them were. Robotron, I don't know if it was tinted or not. Do you know?
I don't remember it being tinted.
Yeah, it seems like we've seen some. I've seen some that are tinted and some that aren't.
Yeah,
for sure. I've seen
enough of each to not know the true answer to that question.
Exactly. I've definitely seen Robotron ones that were not tinted.
And I've seen some that were.
Yeah.
So
Defender ones I've definitely seen tinted.
Yeah.
It's weird. So I don't know for sure. That's a great question.
Maybe the group that has a Robotron could just
if you have a Robotron.
What is yours? I'm going to say the one that we had definitely did not have tinting.
No, I don't think it had tinting. So, and I mean, I've got a Williams style cabinet over there. I think it does have tinting.
Yeah, it does.
So, it's not. It used to be. I think it used to be a joust, but it's no longer a joust. But I think it has tinting on the bezel. So, that's a. Like I said, I'm not sure the answer to that one, but I think Tim's right. If you've got a Robotron or if you've worked on any Robotrons, let us know if the bezel was tinted or not. Definitely seen ones that weren't. So, and ones that were. So it's kind of like, well, maybe it depended on who bought it, or maybe that was an operator thing. I don't know.
I know it was us that we loved to have tinted, because once the game started showing screen burn, we would put, as operators, we put a lot of tinted glass in ours just because, or tinted it ourselves, because we always thought it looked better and made the screen look.
And you got to remember, like on these Midway cabinets back here, they actually had like a little riser that would set up from the monitor, so you could put a piece of tinted glass on there from the factory. You know, so like, you know, the screen burn on Mispacks is terrible. Even this one right here is an original, and screen burn is awful. But with that tinted,
can be like that too.
Yes, it can. With that tinted glass on there, though, barely even notice it. So I mean, it's the closest thing we have to a fix. You can't really fix it, but you can hide it. So and and unfortunately, Tim, a lot of times you have to turn up the brightness a little bit more, which can wear more on the monitor. But it's worth it, in my opinion, to not see the screen burn. So maybe we'll get some people chime in here, Tim, about it. So again, if you've worked on Robotron or you have a Robotron, is your bezel tinted? Is it a tinted bezel? Yeah, go look real quick for us. So, okay, Tim, let's go to Melody. Melody is I'm trying to figure out which one of these is. Oh, the next one is the title for the show. You know, the show titles always have to do with the questions, and so Miss Pack is testing my patience. We'll get their next question, but right now we've got Melody. So.
Okay.
Hello, for several years I've held on to a standing arcade that was left in my possession when a friend passed away. So that's kind of sad, Tim, right there.
Yeah.
The arcade was his pet project, of which he was very proud. Unfortunately, I can no longer keep it and I am attempting to sell it, but I don't remember how to turn it on. It has not been turned on for years. I've been searching for guidance through the internet, which is how I found your page. I have attached some photos of the arcade and the board to assist you. Please help me. You may be my only hope. Just kidding, but I would appreciate any help or advice you can offer. Thank you, Melody in El Paso, Texas. And the ironic thing about this, Tim, is that you were in El Paso not that long ago.
I am... Melody, we can stay in touch if you can't get this fixed, because I literally am in El Paso about 4 times a year, once a quarter. I would think my next trip out there should be coming up in February or March. So I should be coming, but hopefully we can help you before then.
Okay, so Tim, she did send pictures, and so I did want to show these real quick. So this looks very similar to like a Z-back style cabinet, but a little bit different. Okay, I have not seen one where the control panel kind of overlapped the cabinet like that. You know what I'm saying? That I have not seen, and so usually the control panel goes on the inside of the cabinet. It doesn't go on the outside. Right. And it looks like he had it as a Killer Instinct, but she found a Super Puzzle Fighter 2 turbo board in it, is what I'm assuming. Okay. So at this point, it must be a Super Puzzle Fighter 2 turbo cabinet. Okay. Maybe he still has the Killer Instinct in there. Don't know. We don't have pictures of the inside of the cabinet per se. But this is what we have. We have something that looks like a Z-back style cabinet here, Tim. So with that in mind, why don't you just kind of... I looked up a little bit about this cabinet, and I couldn't find exactly where the power switch was on this one. Right. Okay, like exactly where it is on this cabinet. It does look like a Z-back, but it... Tim, do you remember Angle Manufacturing? I used to, you remember my, you've seen my Dungeons and Dragons? Yes. That's an Angle Manufacturing cabinet, which is a little bit different. And those also kind of have that Z-back. And it almost looks like one of those too, but it's different. Like I said, it's almost a unique cabinet. So with that in mind, I looked all over trying to find a match. Could not find where this power button is. So Tim, just give us a general overview of where power buttons are on arcade cabinets.
Well, yeah, the fact I'm sure she looked.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure she looked. Yeah. So the fact she didn't see it offhand probably tells me it's where a lot of them are. And so she needs to get a step stool. They're probably on the top up there. You know, either on one of the sides or sometimes on the back. It could be in the middle. I'm like you. This cabinet really puzzled me. because I'm like, it looks so familiar, but then is it homemade or what is it? I don't know. She said that it was his project.
Right.
So I'm wondering if he built it.
I mean, it looks like a standard operator cabinet, but with some tweaks. A little bit of tweaks that I'm not used to seeing.
So most of the time, that button is up on top. So you'll find it up there on top of the game, and you'll push it. Now, having said that, the only other places normally that you ever see them, occasionally right inside the coin door, usually on the back where the power comes in, there could be a button way down under low. I have actually seen one under a cabinet, this made no sense because you literally had to lift the cabinet up to push it. But what you have to do is open it. Yeah, what you have to do is open up the back or get in there and follow the power wires. They've got to go somewhere, if there is a button at all. So it could be that your power supply was just is dead from having sat there and not being played or whatever. But it's going to be, without a few more pictures even, would be really hard to diagnose from this far.
Agreed. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and put up the outline here, Tim. Now, Real Hammer Billy Lee says the whole control panel is a midway control panel taken from a KI cabinet. It looks like that for sure.
Yeah.
So it is possible that it could have been a control panel swap. Joe says that's a big cab. Check at the foot well or the top right. And yeah, those are some places, Tim, you mentioned. So this cabinet is interesting. That's what we said. It's similar to a Dynamo Z-back or a angle manufacturing cabinet, but the way the control panel overlaps the main cabinet and the slant at the top, you'll see a slant at the top. The Z-backs and the angles are usually flat topped a little bit, so a little bit different. Not always. Sometimes they had slants, but not like this. And that back, the way that back slants is also very interesting. So, a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. With that said, the power button on most arcade cabinets is in one of 4 places, right, Tim?
Right.
On the top, somewhere on the top. On the bottom, in one of the front corners. So sometimes like underneath the cabinet in one of the front corners. Right. That's common. On the side, toward the back of the cabinet. So you can actually have one on the side. Or on the back of the cabinet itself, Tim. Very common to have it near the power cord.
Right.
Okay, so the top is by far the most common place for most generic cabinets like this one. Grab a stepladder and see what you find. Tim, let's go around the room real quick and see where all the power buttons are. Donkey Kong top. Williams cabinet top. Tekken actually has it mid-side, which is interesting. That Marvel versus Capcom has it on the top. Blitz has it on the top. Mortal Kombat on the top. Street Fighter on the top. That generic cabinet right there has it on the top. That's a Dynamo. This Dig Dug cabinet has it on the the back. And then the Midway cabinets have them on the top, but at the very back, right? Like, it's on the top of the cabinet technically, but at the very back. So, just going around the room, Tim,
the problem is we have
idea.
Literally seen them everywhere. Yeah. And the only way to know is to follow the wiring. And I've had trouble myself finding, where's the power switch? You know, and it's been, I've seen them under, come to think of it, I've seen one under the control panel, just like that one. So, it kind of depends on where they put it. And you just got to track the wiring. And then we've seen a ton of cabinets that don't have any power switch. Mm-hmm. They just plug in the wall. And that may be the case this one where it just plugs in and maybe the power. You might literally have a power supply that you have to flip a switch on inside the cabinet. Yep. So it's really hard to say just from those pictures alone. Yeah, exactly. And another thing is with something else you need to be aware of is the power, it may be a direct turn on, but you may have an interlock switch, right? So interlock switches are switches that are designed to where when you open up the cabinet, that the game shuts off. And they're usually white. Not always, but they're usually white. And so if you have an interlock switch on your back door, so if you look near we noticed at the bottom you actually could take off the back of it. Right. So right there, make sure there's not an interlock switch up in there. It may not be coming on because of the door is open. Correct, exactly. Because if that interlock switch is not pushed in or pulled out, it's not going to work. And so look for interlock switches as well. But if you can't figure it out by the next time that Tim is in El Paso, then let me know. Let him know. That's right. I'll run by. We'll figure out where that switch is. That's right. We don't get anything else accomplished. I bet we can find the switch. Sounds good. So, Melody, hopefully that gives you some ideas of where to look. Probably the very first thing I would do is step ladder. Get that step ladder. It's probably on the top. Because it's very common. 8 out of 10, I would say, are on the top. Like I said, we're going around this whole game room here, and like pretty much all of them are on the top. Yeah. So, I mean, it's rare for it not to be. So, like I said, though, we've seen them at the foot. Somebody said they had a World Rally that it was on the bottom left
of
Okay.
it, so very common. So it can be anywhere, but probably on the top, very first place to check. And if you can't figure it out, just trace the wires going from the power supply and see where they're going. You should see a pair of wires going somewhere, whether it's to the side of the cabinet, to the top of the cabinet. And you may mistake those for marquee wires if it's going to the top, but sometimes you'll have two sets, right, Tim?
Correct.
You have one for the switch and one for the marquee light, so...
Just follow your wires.
Exactly. So try the top first, see if you find anything. And if you need additional help, if you take some pictures, we can help you out too.
Yeah,
so take some pictures of the top, the sides, the bottom, insides, and we can probably help you track it down as well. So, okay, Tim. Well, before we get on to the question that this whole episode is entitled for, I totally forgot that we have to give away something tonight. We don't have to. But now, this is not an auto-ranging multimeter, but it is a multimeter.
Okay.
Okay. And it's a digital multimeter. So if you would like to win a digital multimeter tonight, all you have to do is send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com with the keyword and come up with something.
Let's see. What is snow? It's snowing everywhere. Snow.
There you go. So if you send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and make sure you put the keyword snow in the subject or the body, we will pick a winner at random to receive this very nice digital multimeter, of which, not auto-ranging, but it does have a hold function, Tim. It does have beep. It does have continuity beep, which is very important. So, again, it is not the fanciest multimeter, but you're getting it for free, so what do you expect?
Right.
We're cheap around here.
You don't have to pay shipping.
Better than Harbor Freight. I can make that claim for sure. So, better than the Harbor Freight free guys. So,
right, okay.
It does have continuity beep, Tim, which that will save you who knows how much headache. The non-auto ranging is not a deal breaker for me. We prefer it, but, when you're getting it for free, Tim, you're getting it for free.
Right.
Who cannot use a backup digital multimeter? I say, who could not?
Right. I have one in my truck. I have one in my tool bag. I have one on my bench at home. I literally could have 2 or 3 more. They just come in handy. Or in a junk drawer at home, we test batteries with them.
Yeah. It says high accuracy, hold function, which is handy, and then long battery life. Yes.
Okay.
So you can win this, again, by sending an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and make sure you use the keyword
snow.
Snow.
It's winter.
So, that's right, snow. So put it in there in the body or in the subject line. And Tim, we will pick a winner at random. And then I will ship this off to somebody. A current phonograph is in the house tonight, and he won the heat gun from last month.
Awesome.
Guess what? We ship the prizes. No way, Tim.
All right.
We don't just tell you won. We actually send them to you. So there you go. So if you would like to win a multimeter tonight, make sure, again, contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Send us an email, and make sure you include keyword snow in the subject or the body. So there you go. Oh, Joe says, snow, 68 and nice here in North Carolina. Come visit and fix my games. So here's the deal is that it's been 70 here, too. We don't get snow very often, so...
Well, it was... the weather tried to kill us the week before
Christmas. It was like 15.
Yeah.
9. I think it got down to 9.
9 degrees.
Quick
That's
story
cold for Texas.
Quick story there. So I took the kids to the Polar Express in Rusk. So in Rusk, Texas, which is kind of close to where we are, they actually have at the Texas State Railroad, they have the Polar Express. You can go on a ride with your kids. They sing the hot chocolate song. They read the book. You get to go to the North Pole. Santa gets on the train. You get bells, all that kind of stuff. It's cool. So, Tim, we just happened to pick literally the coldest day of the year at 8 o'clock. Because, you can't go during the day on the Polar Express. They always go at night. So, it was 9 degrees.
Wow.
On the train. It didn't have a heater. You could see your breath on the train, but it was warmer, significantly warmer with all the bodies in there. So, but it was fun. We had a good time, but literally picked the coldest day of the year to do that. So, if you're going, make sure you, consult your farmer's almanac next time, because the whole thing is outside except for when you're on the train, and so it can get quite chilly. Now, with that said, that whole train was still full, Tim. It did not stop anybody from going on the Polar Express. So, and I was trying to tell the kids, it's the Polar Express.
Right.
Of course it's cold.
Right? It's got to be cold.
Exactly. So, anyway, but it was fun. We had a good time. We got to see Santa. He gave us bells, all that kind of stuff. So
it was funny because my son was from South Carolina. When he got here, it was freezing cold. He was like, same way he was saying, it was very calm and comfortable there, and then he liked to froze to death here in Texas. Who knows?
Yes. We did not get snow, though. Well, we got some snow. We got, flurries.
Yeah, a few flakes.
Yeah, not much. So, anyway. Just as long as we don't have Snowmageddon. Now, you guys remember the winter of 2021, early 2021. No good. Don't want to do that again. Okay, so there we go. Arcade Dude, already have my Fluke and several others, but good luck to all. Thanks for giving away a valuable tool for someone who needs it. Yeah, so some of you guys, I know in the live chat tonight, don't have a multimeter.
Right.
You need a multimeter. Okay, you can go buy one, or you can get this one for free if you will just send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and include keyword snow in there. So, if you can put your address in there, that's good too, because if your shipping address is already in there, I just ship it. I don't have to do an email exchange, which is a lot easier for me. And we keep all that information private. I don't sell your info, okay?
Yes.
So, so if you want to put your address in there, that helps me out greatly. I can just ship the thing. I don't have to contact you again. So... let's see. Delusional's Arcade. The Polar Express came to you. Well, we had to go. You had to go to the train station. You know, it is what it is. So, current phonograph. Yes, I won the heat gun. Is real competition.
Okay.
So there you go. Let's see. Okay, we're good. Are we good?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. He says, ouch, I bet the hot chocolate was amazing in those conditions. That's from Arcade Dude 44. It was. The hot chocolate. But here's the thing. It wasn't hot. It was like lukewarm.
Oh, no.
So, you know, here we only have one rule.
One time it could have been scalding, right?
Yeah, here we only have one rule. They sort of let it cool. I'm just saying, unfortunately. Yeah. So, but it was still hot. It was hot enough. Let's just say that. Hot enough. Okay. Now, Tim, we got the coach experience on the Polar Express because I'm cheap. We did not do the first class or rent the whole car or anything like that. So maybe next year. But so I mean, part of it is that if you're on one of the first class things, you get a little bit different experience too.
Oh, okay. I'll remember that.
Yeah. So, okay, let us move on, guys. Enough just kind of chitter chatter there. Let us move on to the whole reason we named this episode the way it is. Miss Pac is testing my patience. It's from Eve. And they say, my Miss Pac-Man cocktail has power. I can play the game and hear the noises, but the screen has the following message. Memory okay, free play, bonus 20,000, Miss Pac-Man 5, table. How can I fix it? I want to play. Thanks. So, Tim, you're probably familiar with just having that message stuck on the game. Whenever we just have those things stuck, what's happening?
Well, it's in the test mode right now.
Right.
So, right.
So you get the title.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
testing.
we're there. Yes. You know, it's always good when you have to explain the joke. You know,
right.
I really appreciate it. But no. Obviously, test mode, right, Tim?
Right.
So
it sounds like it's stuck in test mode.
Right. So what can Eve do here to get it out of test mode?
Well, right inside the coin door, you should have a set of switches. It's usually one is black and toggles left and right. One's usually a push button of some sort. You should be able to switch the toggle back with the game off and turn it back on, and it should come right back up.
Right. Now, Tim, that is not the only way. Now,
not the only way.
Yeah. Let us go into that switch, though. That switch fails a lot.
Yes.
Okay, we have had that switch fail, and then it will short, and it'll get stuck. Okay, so if you have a problem with it, you may get a replacement switch, or you could try. I think if you just disconnect it completely, it'll
Correct.
be okay too.
Should be all right.
Right, exactly. So you can do those things if the switch is not working properly. It happens. So those switches are cheap, Tim, and they weren't meant to be switched very often. And so if that switch gets stuck, then or if it's not working properly, you can.
Seems like the last time we did that, we had one that was stuck like that. That's exactly what we did. I just cut one of the wires to it, and it automatically, because you don't use test mode very often, you use play mode.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what I did. I cut one of the wires going to it, and it came
right with
back
some
up.
Electrical tape or something else, and be done with it. Now, with that said, Tim, there's another way that your game can get into test mode, and that is, I believe, if my research is good, if pin K on the harness is grounded.
Okay.
So if you ground that, that can cause the machine to boot into test mode as well. So, like, let's say you have a wire going to pin K, and it just decides to hit a piece of metal.
Yes.
Then you would have problems like what you're having. Mm-hmm. So make sure that pin K on your harness is not grounded out. Okay, because if it is, then you will have this kind of problem as well. That's rare. It's more than likely the switch. It's very common. So that would be the thing that we would recommend for that. So Tim, I'm going to go ahead and put the outline up here so people can see this. So, it sounds like your Miss Pac-Man is stuck in self-test mode. In order to take it out of this mode, open the coin door with the game turned on and look for a small mounting plate. This plate should have a little red button and a black switch on it. Now, Tim, this is a Pac-Man cabinet I have a picture of here. Miss Pac-Man cabinets are different. Usually, they're kind of in the middle, right? Like that plate's like in the middle part of the behind the coin door, on the left side or in the middle. So, it may not be in this particular location in the picture, but it will look like this. I'm just trying to give you an idea. So you want to slide that black switch in the opposite direction of where you're currently set. The screen should go through its test mode and start the attract mode. So once you do that, if this doesn't work, you may need to check the switch as well as the wiring going to the switch to make sure the connection is good. Like Tim mentioned, we can just cut one of the sides of that switch, and then that should take care of it as well. And another thing, like we mentioned, if pin K is grounded, so if the wire going to pin K on your harness is under a screw, or if it's attached to a ground somewhere, this can also cause the machine to boot to test mode, so you may need to cut that pin as well, right, Tim?
Correct.
Cut the wire going to that pin, wrap it with some electrical tape, and then you should be good to go. Anything else here for Eve before we move on, Tim?
No, I think that was a funny question. A good question.
Well, it's definitely testing his patience.
Yes, it is.
So the self-test is testing his patience for sure. So anyway, so hopefully, Eve, that helps you. If you have any additional questions about that, please let us know. Hopefully, by switching that switch, that will fix the issue for the most part. But if it doesn't, check some of the other things that we mentioned, and hopefully, between all of it, you'll get back to your game running properly. So. Okay, back to the live chat real quick, Tim. We have Steve here. First-time visitor to your show. So far, it's very entertaining. Thank you, Steve. Did you or do you plan to have any shows on asteroids? So we do things a little differently here at Arcade Repair Tips. We just kind of answer questions as we go. We don't do specific shows on like specific games, right, Tim?
Right.
And so if you have asteroids questions, we will always answer those. You can write us at questions@arcaderepairtips.com, or you can leave them here in the live chat. If you send them via email, obviously we do a little bit more research than what we can do off the top of our heads here on the live show, which is important. But we have talked about asteroids extensively on some of our past live shows. So if you want to look at those, you can. We've had several questions on them, right, Tim?
Yes.
And so if you want to look back at some of our previous live shows, do a search for asteroids. I'm sure you'll find several places where we've talked about those cabinets. But if you ever have questions, best way to reach us, questions@arcaderepairtips.com via email, and we would be happy to take a look at whatever you got. So there we go. Okay, caught up, Tim, on the live chat, and we are to the quick question and answer section of the show. So Matt was in the live chat with us tonight. Matt, if you're here still, raise your hand, and we'll see you. But your question's about to come up here, Tim. So we will get to Matt's question. He is in the quick question and answer section. We've got some interesting ones about how to get an overlay off, Tim.
Okay.
We have Matt's about discharging monitors over time. And then we have Sean, who has a NASCAR game that's playing blind. So I summarized them, but let's actually see the questions, right, Tim? Okay, here we go. So Demiley4771 says, I need to remove the joystick to get the overlay off, but I'm not sure how to do it. It's a micro switch type. So Demiley's trying to remove the overlay off their arcade cabinet, but the joystick is in the way.
Correct.
How can I remove that to get that overlay off? That's their question. Matt says, does anyone know if time alone will discharge the monitor? My cabinet has been unplugged for over a week as I await some time to work on it. I wonder if over time the CRT will slowly discharge itself. And Tim, I think he actually was talking to some of the other people in the live chat, but we will also answer Matt's question as well as a follow-up from him. And then Sean says, I just acquired a NASCAR game by EA Sports. It's playing blind. There's a computer monitor plug. If I hook up a monitor to that, will it play? I've got a nice monitor that will fit in the front of the screen. Okay, so Demiley, how do I get that joystick off so I can get the overlay off? Matt, will time alone discharge an arcade monitor? And Sean, can I hook up a computer monitor to the plug that's on my NASCAR game? Okay, so with that in mind, Tim, let's take these. So Demiley first, how do I get that joystick off so I can get the overlay off, Tim?
Well, there's two methods. One is more luck and the other is more skill. One is, if you're lucky, the ball will unscrew and it can come off right that way, which is a lot of the newer style 61s and stuff will do that.
That's true.
Not very lucky very often.
Right.
Most of the time, you have to remove the E-clip at the very bottom of the joystick. So looking up in there or turning it upside down. Let's say this was a control panel, turn it upside down. At the end, you can kind of push your joystick up, and there's an E-clip that you pop off. Now, when you do that, that thing's going to come apart in about 1,000,000 pieces. So,
spring-loaded.
Right, spring-loaded, so be prepared. And then I think we probably have shot a video before on replacing a joystick.
We have.
And that will help you, so watch that video.
Yeah, so on the E-clip, Tim, it is spring-loaded, so when you take that off, you want to be very careful. Tim, what do you recommend tool-wise for that?
Well, usually I have a little bitty flathead screwdriver that I can get that to the point where it's about to fly off. If you just hit it hard, it'll fly all the way across the room and you'll lose it. I try to move it to where it's halfway off, and then I get a pair of really good needle nose pliers and usually grab it, then the E-clip, and I can hold it with my pliers, keep it from flinging across the room.
Absolutely. So once he gets that off, the joystick should come out the front, right?
Yes. Then the joystick will fall apart more than anything, and they'll come right off the front. and then you'll be left with what's in there.
And it will require access to the internal control panel. You will need to access the inside of the control panel to do that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Matt is here. He says he's here. So what about a monitor? Will it discharge itself over time, Tim?
For sure, it will, but depending on the monitor, that could be anywhere from a week to 2 weeks to a year or two. So you don't really know. And so the safest bet is just to discharge it no matter what. Yeah, even 2 or 3 times.
Now, he sent a follow-up, Tim, and so I'm going to read it here. I did not put it on the outline, so I'm going to put it on here. And he's in the live chat here, so he can also kind of follow up with us. But he says, let's see, as someone who's about to discharge for the first time myself, any other tips you can offer would be good. I have rubber-soled boots, insulated screwdriver, a wire to connect to the metal frame, and insulated gloves. So is there anything else that you would recommend for him?
An insulated screwdriver, did you mention that?
Yes.
Yes, then you're fine.
So as far as the tool goes, if you don't feel confident using the alligator clips, Arcade Shop, Real Bob Roberts, they sell discharging tools that are already made. And so if you want to be confident that, like, my alligator clip's not going to clip off whenever I discharge this thing, get one of those. If you want to be even more confident, Tim, high voltage probe, right?
Right.
So high voltage probe, if you stick it up there, it'll just suck all the juice out of it. It's actually the best method to do. It's just that the screwdriver method is cheaper. And a high voltage probe runs you, what, $30, $50, something like that. It may be more now because the prices have gone up.
Right.
But, I mean, as far as rubber-soled shoes, gloves are definitely preferable. Insulated screwdriver is really good. But
probably if we took a poll right now, everybody has done those things the first or second time. But if you ask anybody who's done it more than 5 times, if they wear any of that stuff, they're going to say no.
Right.
It's really not a big a deal as most people make it out to be, Matt. So, again, we want to say use caution. Yes, by all means, you don't want to get shocked, but I don't think it's what everybody has this fear of being life-threatening and stuff. If your game is unplugged, but like I said, I've had games that after a week's time, you could have reached up there with the anode and grabbed it with your hand. That's just the way it was. And then I've had others, man, I swear it'd been months and months and months. They still packed a hard pop. I'm like, are you kidding me? We had a game at Chuck E. Cheese one time called a Frantic Fred. And I swear that it's like you almost couldn't get the thing to discharge. We'd do it 4 or 5 times. And it would still, like the next day, you would come back and have a little bit. And you're like, really? It was the craziest game. It was a Pentac monitor. But anyway, I think that'll help you, Matt. Just you kind of get over that initial fear. It'll be okay. But by all means, take all the safety precautions that you want. It sounds like you definitely would be okay with doing it that method.
I discharged the monitor with the power on because somebody forgot to unplug it. I'm still here.
Right.
And I'm not much worse than what I'd be otherwise, I don't think. So, but yeah, I stuck a screwdriver under there with it on. And it went buzz, 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 buzz. You remember this.
Yeah.
Tim forgot to unplug the freaking thing.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
It was on.
Still alive. So, we're still good. But, yeah. Doesn't matter if it discharges over time. Do it anyway, right, Tim?
Right.
And do it a couple times.
Yeah.
Hit it like 4 or 5 times. Even when you take the anode off, hit it again.
I'm still kind of doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it with that same tool because it kind of will discharge it if there's anything left up there.
Exactly, for sure. So Sean, on the NASCAR, he sees a VGA cable. He wants to plug a computer monitor up to it. You think that'd be okay?
Yeah, it's worth a try because you may need to do a dip switch setting or something to tell it now I'm going to VGA.
Right.
But other than that, I don't see why not.
Right. I think that'd be the key thing. He did send a picture, and it looks like it's the Sega model, Tim, of the NASCAR. And so there's a manual out there. I don't know if I linked to it, Sean. If I didn't, I'm sorry about that. But you can find it online if you look up the manual. The manual should have what the dip switches are for the VGA output on that. And so you could try swapping that. Tim, this is a PC-based hardware, but it is also that 4-letter word that you're not real fond of, Sega.
Yeah.
And so Sega games are usually very complicated, especially sit-down ones like this. And so, but it is a PC-based system, so it's going to work a lot like a computer. So if you hook up the computer monitor and you get the dip switches right, it should come on. And so that's what you want to test. Definitely worth a shot at this point for sure. So Tim, any other things on any of these questions?
No, I don't think so.
Well, let's go over them real quick just to double check everything. So Demiley4771, in order to remove the joystick handle, you will need to remove the E-clip that's holding it in place. This will require accessing the inside of the control panel. We like to use needle nose pliers and a small screwdriver. I didn't put that on here, Tim, like you said, but to remove them, that's very important. Matt, it is possible that a CRT may lose its charge over time. With that said, always better to go ahead and discharge it to make sure you don't get shocked. Always better. Always better. So, and then Sean, definitely worth hooking up a computer monitor to it at this point. You may need to change a setting or a diff switch in order to tell the game to go to VGA output instead of RGB. And Tim, I could have swore I saw that in the manual, and I'm sorry if I didn't link it over in the description below, Sean, but you can find it online. If you need help finding that, let us know. Is that it, Tim?
I think so.
Yep. Delusionals also discharged a monitor that was still on. We're in the same. We're in the club together.
Yeah.
That's right. This is the. We've all done stupid stuff before. You don't check that it's not still plugged in before you stick a screwdriver up there.
Yeah.
Or your buddy doesn't check that it's still plugged in when you stick a screwdriver up there.
I did a lot of times. Of course, my hair used to be dark too.
That's right.
I don't know.
Hey, you
Maybe
guys,
all my fillings were in there at that before then.
I was about to say, you've seen the troubleshooting games that are playing blind and his hair goes all wacky, you know. So I mean, that just goes to show you all that's happened, right? So that's always fun when you get arcing. Ooh, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, or fire. Remember our joust that had fire?
Yeah.
So we had a joust that
marshmallows for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally, like the flyback when you would turn it on, it was like a lighter.
Yeah.
And literally a little flame would come up from it. Never seen that before. So yeah, we could have rusted marshmallows on that thing. We got you literally. I think an operator must have rigged it up so he could do his cigarettes that way.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I could figure out.
I know.
You know?
I thought of that when we used to have that game. I could just see some guy over there, you know, lighting it or a cigar. Or something.
Exactly. Literally, it was like a little lighter, like he rigged up or something. Of course, the monitor did not work, Tim. It was a problem with the flyback, but it was very funny. I still don't know that. Now, Tim, we had some fun over Christmas.
Of course.
I made some memes.
Yes.
And I hope that you guys enjoyed them. I'm going to put them up here if you haven't seen them. So these are all the ones that I think we put up on Twitter and Facebook and everything like that. So, you know, the first one here, you know, the dragon meme. I want an arcade game that never breaks down. You know, obviously was that. When you move a working game across a room and it stops working, I've got the Charlie Brown there. Yeah. I really like that one. When you look inside the back of an arcade cabinet that's been on route since the 80s and it's just got wires everywhere like that. I like somebody in the comments, I think on that one, put, what is up with this JAMA harness? It's got lights all over.
Right.
You know, you may have Christmas lights in the back of one. I don't know, you know, at this point. And then that one in the upper corner, I think was the favorite among the arcade repair tips staff. When your friend overhears you talking about rewiring a classic arcade cabinet JAMA and installing a 60-in-1.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let's
open there. That's right. Exactly.
Life boy. Yeah.
That's right. Life boy. That's right. So those were always fun. And we like just having fun with memes, you know. Yeah. And so I did a meme, too, for the... did you see the meme we did for the live show this month?
Yeah.
With Tom from Tom and Jerry kind of thing. And that's a throwback to when Tim picked up the Arctic Thunder. That's what that is.
Yeah.
So...
story for another time.
No, we'll tell it real quick. So Tim comes up and he's like, I got this great deal on Arctic Thunder at the arcade auction. And hey, you know, that's cool. Okay, so let's open her up.
It's not working, but...
Not working.
What did
you pay, $250 for it?
I think
like
$250.
$250. Man, for an Arctic Thunder, that's a deal. You look in the back, no chassis, no computer.
No wiring.
No wiring. Like, just totally gutted.
It had a tube.
It did have a tube. That's
no
about all
chassis.
you had.
It had a
That's
tube.
Right. It did have a tube.
So we used to laugh because we disconnected the seat.
Yep.
And that was more like we used the seat and rolled around, and
the seat became a nice work stool for a while.
I think until Connor and Jerry made a ramp and tried to jump something out in the yard.
Oh, that's when it bit the dust. I was wondering about that.
We used to have a lot of fun with that. It was a very expensive seat.
That's right. Exactly. There you go. A couple of, let's before we move on here with more of the news section here, Tim, I'm going to go back to the live chat. Steve says, is there any way to test an Atari Big Blue capacitor with a multimeter? I'm not getting the correct voltages from the main output on the power supply on Asteroid's machine. Is this a common problem? So Big Blues going out is a common problem, right?
Yes,
that does happen very often. You can check Big Blue, but I think you'll need an ESR meter. I don't think you, because it's a capacitor. So you're going to have something that tests capacitance. And so typically that's an ESR meter or something that tests capacitance tester.
Some of your higher dollar or more expensive meters have a capacitance tester in them. You can also check for open short, but more than likely you're going to need the ESR meter.
Right, so you can check that. But it is a common problem for Big Blues to go bad. Happens all the time. There's a nice replacement that's like small green. Have you seen small green?
Yes.
Yeah, small green instead of Big Blue or whatever. So there's a little small green one that you put in there. And I say small, it's smaller.
Right.
It's not small as far as capacitors go, but it is smaller. There's some smaller replacements that are actually a little bit nicer too, so you can go with one of those. But yeah, it's a common problem. Big Blue's going bad. It happens over time, so I mean, you may just need to replace that. Arcade Dude 44 says he's a member of the club. Instant lighting storm inside the cabinet. Yeah, so somebody else discharging monitors without actually turning them off.
Okay.
So there you go. Welcome to the club. I think what are we going to call the club? I think I'm going to call it discharged and on monitor and survived. Right? Yeah. So we're survivalist. So there you go.
So Matt, hopefully you conquered your fear now to know that all these people have actually done it with it turned on. So make sure as long as you're turned off, you're really safe.
Now, at the Houston show one year, we took a live monitor and had people come up and discharge it.
Yes.
Which was awesome.
We showed it, and we showed a video of it, so you can watch it.
Yeah, I think it's still on our YouTube channel. There's a video of people discharging monitors.
For the first time.
For the first time, which is fun. So we bring them up, they do it. Instant fear conquered, right? Mm-hmm. So it was great. So anyway. Let's see. Are we caught up? We're caught up. Okay. So Tim, let's get to some of this news. Now, a couple of these things we already covered, or you'll see on like the outline stuff that we have. But we have several new things that just broke this week that we'll have to talk about as well. So let's cover the stuff that we already kind of hit ahead of time first that we posted on social media. The first thing was that there was incredible lost Michael Jackson Sega game footage uncovered by fans. This is from Forbes. So previously unseen footage of Michael Jackson as the lead actor in the largely unknown Advanced System 1 motion simulator game Scramble Training has finally been made public by a pair of Sega enthusiasts. Until now, Scramble Training's experience was limited only to shaky, poor quality camcorder footage from the 90s. However, following the chance discovery of Ben Bisley, we can finally see every piece of footage from Sega's strangest collaboration with the late King of Pop. And so, Tim, this is incredible footage. And apparently he found it at like a yard sale or something like that. And so it was just in a box of like posters and stuff. And the rip is fantastic. And I tell you what, I mean, the relationship between Sega and Michael Jackson was tighter, I think, than a lot of people realized. We all know that there's, of course, the Moonwalker games, but we also know that he did some of the music for Sonic 3, and there's some other things. But he actually acted in their stuff, too, which is pretty interesting. And, Tim, I know we've talked about the documentary and some of the allegations and things that have come out, but when I was a kid, I was a huge Michael Jackson fan. I thought he was so cool, and watching this footage was very interesting. If you haven't seen it,
everybody wanted to go to Neverland and play games. He had games at his house.
Yeah, all Sega titles.
All right.
So, but if you haven't seen the footage yet, check it out, because I think the footage itself, you can tell where like there's different scenarios, and so he does different scenarios based on whatever the simulator is doing, whether you crash or whether you fly or whatever.
I haven't not watched it yet. I'll try to make time and do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's very interesting. So take some time to watch that footage. Let us know what you think. I found it very interesting, and as a Michael Jackson fan from back in the day, Tim, it was actually cool to see. So.
Okay.
This, Tim, was something that Mark posted, some pinball news here. Spooky Pinball announced a Scooby-Doo Where Are You pinball machine. So Spooky Pinball has announced that their next release will be based on the Hanna-Barbera animated series Scooby-Doo Where Are You? The game is based on the original cartoon series rather than any of the spin-offs or reboots, so it features the original 5 cast members, Fred Jones, Daphne Blake, Velma Dinkley, Norville Shaggy Rogers, and of course Scooby-Doo. So there you go, Tim. Have you seen any of the footage of the game? Any pictures of the playfield and stuff? It looks really cool. Spooky always does a really good job with their games, Tim. So I look forward to playing it. Maybe we can play it at Pinball Festival. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Hopefully you'll get a chance to go. But, Spooky has been putting out a lot of great games, Tim, especially, over the last year or so. They put out some great titles. And so this sounds like a really big get for them. It's definitely a game that's up their alley as far as theme goes.
I would love to own a Scooby Pinball.
Yeah, so I'm excited to play it. Excited to give it a shot, and hopefully we'll get to do that sometime very soon. Tim, this was kind of big news, but kind of not. This is really something that had been announced. So it was announced earlier this year that Gary Stern was going to step down as CEO of Stern Pinball, but the announcement was made that it's official now.
Okay.
And so now it is official. Stern has made a series of announcements about changes to their senior management roles. Gary Stern has officially stepped down as CEO. Current company president Seth Davis will take over the role. Gary will continue in his position of chairman of the board for the company. Shelley Sachs Eldridge, logistics, and Michael O'Donnell, CFO, have both announced their retirements as well. So there you go. So Tim, this is I know it's kind of sad news in a way, but Gary's getting on up there in years, and it was
kind of a good news, bad news.
Right.
I mean, sad news, good news.
Yeah, and Shelley had been with the company forever. A lot of you people who may have called Stern and dealt with their logistics department may have talked to her. So she had been with Stern for a very long time. Michael O'Donnell had been with Stern for a very long time as well, and so it's not a shock that both of them are announcing retirements. I mean, I think 20 years. Each of them had been there at least 20 years, Tim. So very common. And as far as Gary goes, I mean, it's been a while. You know, he's been over the company for a long time now. Probably about time to kind of step back a little bit and let some other people take over. And so this was, like I said, announced earlier in the year, Tim, but it's just now kind of come to fruition here at the end of the year. And so, you know, kind of sad in a way, because Gary was such kind of a figurehead for the company and everything, but he's not going away completely. He'll still be a part of the board. He's just stepping down for that. He gave away his president to Seth earlier in the year, and now he's just giving him the CEO title as well. So, okay, there we go. Before we move on, Tim, Steve says, how often do you guys do live shows? When is your next live show? First Thursday night of every month. Right?
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. First Thursday night of every month unless something changes.
Right.
So
we usually announce ahead of time if we can't, for whatever reason.
We have like a 95% track record on that probably, first Thursday night of the month. So, I mean, we're pretty good. So, 5:30 p.m. Central Time. First Thursday night of the month. So, and if you stay tuned to our Twitter and Facebook pages, they'll keep you up to date. We send out a message usually a couple of days before letting you know that there's a live show coming up. We set up an event on our Facebook page showing when the next one is. And then, of course, on the day of, we send out a message as well. So, again, first Thursday night of every month at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. So, there you go. Let's see. Current photograph. Where is Scrappy? Well, you know, Scrappy was not part of the original Scooby-Doo cast, right? Tim?
Right.
So we all know Scrappy, not in there. Sorry, current photograph about that. Delusionals Arcade 0072 20K. Have you heard about this? The special edition 007 that's 20K?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so they released
20,
one. Did you see the... It's like the 60th anniversary, is it?
Okay.
I think it is 007 cabinet, and it is $20,000.
Is there...
And there's only 600 of them.
Wow.
So they're going to sell out.
Yeah.
Who's buying these things? Are you guys buying these things? If you're buying these things, let us know in the live chat. I've got some property that we need to talk about.
Right.
But no, I mean, this is... pinball machines are getting crazy. Now, Tim, we've talked about economy, and I'm getting ready to... I'm preparing for a recession. And I think that's probably a good idea for all of you guys out there. I'm preparing. I don't know if it'll happen. But with that in mind, I just want to know who are the people buying these huge pinball machines, because, I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
influencers, I guess. I
guess so, because it's a lot of money. 20K is a lot of money, guys, on a pinball machine. So, you know, but, hey, if you got it and you can spend it, more power to you.
All right.
So,
like and follow, invite 10,000 people.
That's right. There you go. Sounds good. Joe says, how about Buster of Dave & Buster's? Such a sad end. That's the next story. Transition, right, Tim?
Wow.
So let's go. Actually, it's not quite the next one, but we'll go ahead and go there since I read it, right? So James Buster Corley, co-founder of Dallas-based Dave & Buster's, dead at 72. James Buster Corley, one of the co-founders of the successful entertainment company Dave & Buster's, has died at 72. Corley died January 2nd at his home near White Rock Lake, which Tim actually have a lot of family that lives like right in that area. A representative with Dave & Buster's said Corley was an innovative and creative force. His pioneering spirit and steadfast belief that everybody is somebody set the foundation for bringing food and games to millions of Dave & Buster's guests over the past 40 years. Tim, I don't want to get into too much about the way he died, but it's pretty sad, kind of like what Joe said here. And so just really thinking about, and our hearts go out to his family, our prayers go out to his family and friends, because, man, it was just a rough...
It was kind of a shock to me to read it and to see that. It made me really sad.
Me too. Me and Tim are unabashedly... unabashed fans of, is that how you would say it?
Yeah.
We are big fans of Dave & Buster's. We love Dave & Buster's. I went to Dave & Buster's when we went to National Video Game Museum. I think I mentioned that, Tim. I am a Dave & Buster's stockholder still. I love Dave & Buster's. They are one of my favorite places to go. And so this is just really sad news, because this guy was a big part of what made Dave & Buster's, especially in the early years, Tim. And so just again, our hearts and prayers go out to his family. Rough stuff. And WFAA, Tim, is the local news station that kind of covered all that. And just sad. Just sad. So, Tim, what was that? Was that like last year, like right at the beginning of the year, where we just had like death story after death story there for a while?
Seemed like
golly, I mean, that's just heartbreaking, guys. None of us are getting any younger. And I heard somebody say like once you pass 40 is like when you start losing people. You know, like you get a call from like somebody's wife out of the blue, and it's like,
well, you know what I do now, because you have like your 100 friends that you know and keep up with all the time, but I probably have 5,000 people on my Facebook that a lot of them are people that I went to junior high with. I actually get to where if it's somebody I haven't seen in forever, I'll see if it's their birthday. I'm going to go, okay, let me make sure that they haven't passed on, because I've had several class members that have went on, and you feel dumb if you're like, happy birthday, and somebody's like, oh, they died like 3 years ago.
Right.
Or something. So, but at the same time, I always tend to think that everybody has a birth date, not a birth end. So you can always celebrate somebody's birthday that they were born, no matter if they're still here with us or not. But one thing we do want to remind everybody is that we don't always mention this every live show, but one of our missions with Arcade Repair Tips was always to share the knowledge, but was to develop a community of people. And if we've never said it before, we really do care. We care about you and what you're going through. And we both have been through some stuff in our lives. There's been times when, I really didn't know if I could make it or go on to the next day. And I've seen some friends go through some things. And I always know that everything is temporary. And I've seen them really go through some heart-wrenching stuff, but come out of it. There's always a end out there. And so one thing that we've always said that, you can always write us, even if it's not arcade related. If you're going through a tough time, you just need a listening ear or a friend. We want you guys to know that we're here for you. And I'll leave it at that, John.
Absolutely. And so, especially this time of year, Tim, it seems like it hits people a little bit harder after the holidays. Kind of get that after Christmas lull. Totally understand. What is it? The third Monday in January is Blue Monday, and that's like one of the worst mental health days. Guys, if you're struggling with that, reach out to somebody. If it's not us, reach out to a professional, or reach out to a professional mental health. Get you some, get some help. Guys, there's no shame in getting with a mental health professional. I know, I think when we were growing up, Tim, sometimes we looked down on people who may have wanted that help. There's no shame in that. Going to somebody to get help like that, if it helps you, that's important. And so do it. Make time.
If you're struggling, it's okay. Yeah. Everybody struggles. Everybody goes through something. And I had a former boss that posted on Facebook, and he was just pretty much laying it out there. Guys, I haven't been in touch with people because I have not been well. I have not been myself, and I want to be, and I'm not there yet. But I just want you to know that I am hurting. And so, sometimes it's okay to be like, let somebody know. Because it's probably more people care than you realize. And so if nobody else, we care. And we have a great group of people that join us every month. Some of you are new here tonight. You'll find that there's a lot of regulars here. And we care for each other, and we support each other in our hobby, but we also support each other just as human beings. And I know we'll talk about this some in the live show. We had an event happen on a football game the other night that really made everything. Football's just a game.
Right.
And I think we saw people really come together and stuff. So, I think that's what the whole world needs. We all need to come together. We got a lot of negativity, not a negative stuff. And it's hard and sometimes you can internalize that. And sometimes it's rightfully so. I mean, like you've done some mistakes or you've messed up. But let me tell you, there's always, if anybody's made plenty of mistakes, it's me. There's always a brighter tomorrow. There's always something to look forward to. There's always sunny days or mountaintop experiences. Don't give up. Hang in there. And we're here for you if you ever need anything.
Joe says, if anybody ever needs to talk, look me up. It's easy to find me. I will chat for hours about games, etc. Jumping General says, a stranger is a friend you have not met yet. That's exactly, guys, this is exactly what we're talking about. This is the kind of community that we like. And, Tim, I just have this philosophy, and I'm religious. I don't hide that. We don't hide that. And it's like, look, if I wake up in the morning and my feet hit the ground, God's got a plan for me.
Yeah.
Okay, because otherwise I wouldn't be here, is what I really believe. And I would say the same thing to you. If you wake up tomorrow and your feet hit the ground, there's a plan for you. Right. So never lose sight of that. That's very important. But if you need to reach out to somebody, reach out to us, reach out to a friend, family member, health professional, mental health professional, somebody, because I can guarantee you it'll help you. It'll help you. So and that's important. You know?
If you need a friend, there's also somebody else that needs a friend too. And sometimes to make friends, you have to be a friend. And so look for people, volunteer at a local shelter or feed the homeless or whatever. Do something. Giving makes you a better person, but it also helps everybody else to know that they're important. So even if you're here right now, I appreciate you guys saying that. Maybe you're not struggling right now, but I guarantee you everybody has. Everybody is going through something. So always be kind. Be kind to that person at the grocery store. Be kind to the person at Walmart. Be kind to the person that's taking care of your oil change or whatever it is, because you don't know what they're going through when they get off work or whatever they're going through that day. So just be kind everywhere you go, and it will come back to you 10 to 100-fold.
Absolutely. Okay, enough of that, Tim. I'm gonna take us to 2 more news stories, and then we're gonna roll out here. This one, Tim, the Mortal Kombat 2 source code was leaked online. Okay. So Mortal Kombat 2 source code has surfaced online. It's available on GitHub. Various users on Twitter and YouTube have already documented the alluring details hiding beneath all the leaked material. The leak will allow modders and the community to create more ports and mods that could breathe new life into the well-renowned nostalgic game. So there you go. So, Tim, there's already been a lot of different animation assets and things that have been released from the game, and it's very interesting to see some of the stuff that was cut, including some fatalities and some different animations and stuff. And so you can check out that article, which we also have linked below down in the description, to see some of the stuff that people have found. I just find it interesting because a lot of that stuff that's still in the game, when it gets released, is stuff that must have got cut really close to when the game was released. Right. And so that's like the stuff that almost made it in the game but didn't quite make it there. And so if you want to see some of that stuff, highly recommend you check out that link to the article and some of the Twitter things that it links to as well. You'll see some really interesting stuff. A couple other things here. Arcade Dude 44, same here. We've all been through some tough times. I'm available too. We can chat about games, whatever. Mark says, hello, I'm new here from Canada, Vancouver. We all hit speed bumps in our lives. And that's true.
Very true.
Absolutely. So, okay, last little news nugget here, Tim. And this was kind of the last big news, I guess, that we have. Was Arcade 1-Up. Okay. Released a lot of stuff for CES, Tim. So, probably the most surprising thing was the Wheel of Fortune Casinocade. Right. Very interesting, Tim. I think somebody said that they thought that was for the HSN/QVC crowd. It could be. I don't know. But I think it's interesting that they're trying that out. And then on the arcade front, Tim, it was the Deluxe cabinets that that they got to show off here. And so here we have the Arcade 1-Up's Wheel of Fortune Casinocade Deluxe is planned for a spring or early summer release with pricing estimated to be under $500 for that. Okay. The Arcade 1-Up Deluxe line of cabinets will feature a 3D coin door, tilted monitor like the original arcade games, a light-up marquee, and they are going to be, they seem to be as tall as their regular offerings with the riser installed. That is now confirmed. 61 inches tall on that Pac-Man. Nice. So that is 5 foot 1 inch. Right. So, not quite as tall as an actual arcade game, but close. Getting closer. Tim, if you want me to, I can do my impression of an Arcade 1-Up YouTuber. Okay. I am done with Arcade 1-Up. Man, these things stink. I hate these things. And then after CES, man, look at those Deluxe cabinets. They look awesome. Okay. Man, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this before. Okay, how was that?
Wow, that was actually pretty accurate.
I know. Have you seen these videos?
Yes.
Look, you guys are on YouTube. You obviously are because you're watching us. There are these Arcade 1-Up bloggers, video bloggers. They're like, I'm done with Arcade 1-Up, blah blah blah. And they have, and they have all these Arcade 1-Ups, and it says, I'm done with Arcade 1-Up on the bottom, and the guy's like this on the picture and everything like this. Have you seen these?
Yes. Yeah? So are they upset that they're actually getting more close to an arcade game now? Now they got a lighted up marquee. I wanted just a plain one, right?
Right, exactly. Guys, look, I don't care if you're done with Arcade 1-Up. I don't care if you buy one every time they release one. Do what you want, and don't feed that, please. Don't feed those videos. Okay, look, Tim, we don't sensationalize much around here. No, okay, we do from time to time. Okay, we're guilty. We're guilty. I will say that. But literally, you have people who are releasing like these videos like every other week or whatever it is, and they're always,
they're always done.
Exactly. We're slow. We're consistent, and we try not to sensationalize too much.
We got real problems.
Exactly. So, exactly. So, if you're done with 1-Up, well, good. If you want to buy every cabinet they release, good. Here's the deal. I'm in the middle, And I think most of us are. I've got some arcade 1-ups. Tim, you
I bought my first one.
You totally buried the lead. We didn't
Right.
even talk about it at the beginning. Tim bought his first arcade 1-up. What'd you buy?
I bought an NFL Blitz.
Which I thought was a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know we talked about it not having the late hits. I know we talked about it not they took out some of the different things from it. But guys, the core Blitz is still fun. Even if you take that stuff out, still a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, and you for the price you paid, you
Right.
got on sale. I think it's well worth it.
Yes.
I mean, for sure. And so I'm going to go over to Tim's house and play Blitz at some point.
Well, when he gets it together.
Yeah, and it has online play, which is nice too.
Yes,
because
online play come with a...
you can only play the computer so many times, and I don't have people at my arcade often enough to play against them. So I mean, it's like it's nice to have online play.
I have 2 nephews that are 7 and 5, and I really want to get together and teach them how to play Blitz.
Absolutely,
We're gonna
Blitz
have
is fun.
They like watching football.
Exactly. So I mean, look. I have some arcade 1-up cabinets, guys. Now, here's the deal. I don't pay full price for them. I always wait till they go on sale. Tim, you wait till they go on sale. I don't think at the prices that they retail for that they're worth it to me. Now, maybe worth it to you. I don't know. I have several of them, though. I talked about buying The Simpsons. I'm very happy with The Simpsons. I have no problems with it. We played it. It's fun. Tim sees all... I've got a Golden Tee that's really fun. The Golden Tee is fine. And the pinball machine, you guys know I bought because you saw, I have the Attack from Mars pinball machine. It's great. I mean, it's just like playing on my phone, except it's got the kicker feedbacks in it, and it's got the bigger screen and everything like that. It's like I play Pinball Arcade on my phone, Tim. It's the same thing,
Right.
So I mean, all these people who are going crazy over like all these video bloggers that are like hot 1 minute, cold the next, blah 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 blah. It's all just sensationalism. Just ignore them, please. Don't feed that. That's what I would tell you. Don't feed it. So anyway, am I done?
I think we're done.
Okay, that's my rant. So, let's see. Delusional's Arcade full size, seeing is believing. So 61 inches. So if I take a tape measure of this is bigger than 61 inches,
yes.
I guarantee you. So it's not quite full size. It is the size it would be with the riser, which is not quite full size. About cabaret size.
Cabaret size.
Cabaret size is really what it is. YouTube Punk apparently liked my impression. Accurate. So current phonograph, I think eBay is too expensive. Oh, this is... I was going to say that was from, let me go back here. That was from Steve. Steve said, looking to sell some of my older video games, would you recommend eBay as the platform? Or is there a better platform would recommend for older classics? So if you're talking about arcade games, you really should stick with local. So Facebook Marketplace is pretty good for that. You've got like OfferUp and some of those as well, 5 Miles. And you also, people sometimes still use Craigslist. I don't use it as much as I used to, Tim. I think Facebook Marketplace is really kind of replaced that. But if you're selling arcade games, I think local is best because you don't have to worry about shipping and things. If you're selling older console games, I don't know if you're going to do better price-wise than eBay.
Probably not.
So you got to remember, though, eBay takes a pretty good chunk. And so you just have to, But here's the thing. With classic console games, Tim, you're going to get more on eBay than you will anywhere else. And it's probably going to cover what your fees are going to be. So
Correct.
Something to keep in mind. So, and that's what current phonograph was replying to that. I think eBay is too expensive. I prefer to buy from Craigslist. Delusional's Arcade, Facebook Marketplace is also a great source to sell or buy, and it's usually local, which is nice. I agree. Let's see. Mark says, I hate to say it, Arcade 1-Up helps the gaming industry in my books. It does. Look, Here's the deal. There's a lot of people out there who could not afford full-size arcade cabinets that have Arcade 1-Ups, and they're perfectly happy with them. And I say, good for you. Because, I don't have any animosity towards people who like Arcade 1-Ups. I think for some of people who have Arcade 1-Ups, like, that's the gateway drug to getting into real arcade collecting. I think that's happened to some people. And that's what I was hoping would happen, because that helps us, in a way. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who just have Arcade 1-Ups and they're fine with them. Now, we've talked a lot about running Arcade 1-Ups in commercial environments. That's still very suspect, and I wouldn't do it. No. Okay, like we've talked about. But as far as illegal goes, like we talked about, Tim, no police is going to come get you.
Right.
It's not like, it's just one of those, it's not a legal gray area because technically it's not legal. It's just one of those things where who's going to enforce it? Unless somebody enforces their copyright, then you really, you won't have anybody coming after you, right, Tim? Unless they enforce it. So, let's see. Hayesville Arcade, great show, guys. Thank you for your arcade tips. You're welcome. Then we have Steve. Thanks for all the great advice. Great show. Arcade Dude 64. Just received my At Games Legends pinned. I love it. I can't wait to get a PC and set up pinks, etc. on it. Yeah. So the Arcade Legends stuff is just as good, Tim. Like, I have the Arcade Legends joystick sitting here, the 2-player one. That stuff's really good too. In fact, if you're an arcade person and you want to set up like a MAME machine, in a lot of cases that's better for that kind of thing. So let's see. Mafia Boss Plankton. I found the games in my collection from the cool members on KLOV and Arcade Projects forums. Those are good places to try too, right, Tim? KLOV has been around forever. It's a great place. You can sign up there. Arcade Projects forums are good too. So check that out. So, Mark, I wonder if Tim is a PCB hoarder. Are you a PCB hoarder? Not anymore.
No. Used to.
I have several that I've got over to the side. I'm not a hoarder per se, but I definitely have like a set of about 20 that I kind of keep that I'm waiting for cabinets for or whatever. Just want to keep. So not really so much hoarders anymore. We used to be.
Yeah.
It used to be more of that. When Tim had his shop.
Dozens.
Yeah, but when he moved, don't have the shop anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, so I mean that's not as much of a thing. But anyway. Okay, Tim. Are we done?
I done.
Okay, let's wrap this thing up real quick. We do want to remind you guys that we want your arcade-related videos, so if you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure to put a plug-in for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. Tim, I'm going to add something to this.
Okay.
If you would like Tim or myself to come on your channel...
Oh.
And you know, be a guest or something like that, you can do that as well.
That'd be fun.
So if you have a YouTube channel and you're a YouTuber and you would like either me or Tim to come to your channel, bring maybe a portion of our audience with us to your channel, then you can hit us up at questions@arcaderepairtips.com as well, and we will consider it. So I won't necessarily say we'll do it. It depends on, scheduling and things like that. But, our goal here, Tim, is to help other YouTube channels. So, like, let's say you're one of these YouTube channels that's on the edge of being monetized. Because it used to be easier to be monetized. Now it's not. It's a little bit more difficult. So, like, let's say you're on the edge of that and you just need a little bit of a push to get over that. Then you can submit a video to us. We'll play it on our channel. Hopefully that will kick some people over to you. Or if you want to have me or Tim on as a guest on your YouTube channel, hopefully some of our subscribers will float over your channel from that as well. So if you're interested in either one of those avenues, please give us an email at questions@arcaderepairtips.com and we can explore those. So, and then Tim, let's go to our contact information. We have our general email at questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject to get it mentioned on the show. Again, send an email to questions@arcaderepairtips.com if you would like to get in touch with us. We also have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Of course, those of you who are here live obviously know where to find us on YouTube, but if you don't, you can go to youtube.arcaderepairtips.com and check it out. Tim, we mentioned it at the top of the show, but I'll mention it again. If you're listening to the audio version of this, then you will need to go to the YouTube episode for this, or the YouTube video for this episode to see the after show, right, Tim? Right. So if you're listening to this on the audio feed and you would like to check out the after show, make sure you look up this episode number 71 and the video for it on YouTube at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, and you can watch it there. And then we have our podcast feed that contains our live show audio, interviews, question answer podcast, etc. And you can check that out on iTunes at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com, itunes.arcaderepairtips.com. We also have it on our Spotify page at spotify.arcaderepairtips.com and Stitcher at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com, or wherever fine podcasts are aggregated. So if you look up Arcade Repair on pretty much any podcast platform, Tim, you'll probably find our podcast. Check that out. So make sure you check out those avenues if you want to listen to the podcast audio feed. And we would appreciate any 5-star reviews that you have to leave those on our iTunes page as well. And if you don't have a 5-star review, email us and let us know what we're doing wrong. Okay, and we'll be happy to discuss it with you. So there you go. We're always up for constructive criticism. Keyword constructive.
Right.
So there we go. And then we have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com, and our Twitter feed at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. All of the information pretty much gets cross-posted, so if you follow us on one or the other, you're getting pretty much the same stuff. And we do want to thank Mark, our community manager, for all of his contributions, especially the spooky pinball stuff this month, Tim. Mark is a great guy, always helps us out. We thank him for his service. So there you go. Tim, on our social media pages, you can also find all those fantastic memes that we released.
Yes.
Including that new Tom one that you can check out as well. So there you go.
You guys are always posting good deals and things like that.
Yep. From time to time, we do good deals as well. So definitely a good place to check out our social media pages. Again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com and twitter.arcaderepairtips.com for those. Couple of things here. Let's see. Big D Retro says, yep, 1UP has led me into full-size collecting. There you go.
Good.
I told you guys this years ago that some of these arcade 1UP people who've got them now are going to transition into full-size cabinet collecting. Didn't I say that? Go back and check like episode 30 something of the live show, and you'll probably get that. Oh, and those of you guys who have only been checking out the live show, we have like a ton of question and answer audio podcasts that date back like all the way to 2009. So golly, I mean, Tim, we only do a show once a month, but there's enough back content there that you can be busy for several months, if not years. So we definitely have a lot of content out there for you guys if you want to check it out. I appreciate all the people who are going through the back catalog over the holidays.
Mm-hmm. You noticed that?
Yes. Oh man, I saw a lot of our past episodes were ticking up in views and things. Thank you. Thank you for going back and watching the old ones. We appreciate that. It helps us out a lot. I like that. So it means that you're interested, and hopefully they're just as entertaining as when we filmed them. Although they probably aren't. So there you go. Let's see. I'm looking here. Jumping General, can you recommend someone that can do board repairs? I have a Robocop PCB with lines across the screen. My monitor is good. It's something wrong with the board. So if you go to arcaderepairtips.com/resources, there is a board repair heading that has a whole bunch of people that we recommend. We do recommend Raymond at Arcade Components. Raymond is so awesome. He does great work on board repair. Highly recommend him. But there are a bunch of other people there too that you can look at that will also help you out. So it's not just him. You'll find a lot of them there. Again, arcaderepairtips.com/resources. Check out the board repair section for a list of people you can send your board off to. And it does depend on what kind of board you have. So he said it was a, let's see, it was a Robocop. So newer, or kind of like an early style JAMA board. Like I said, there are several people that will repair that for sure. Some are more expensive than others. We love Eldorado games. They're fast, but they're expensive. So, and what's the Speedy's one-stop board repair? Have you seen that? Like, Speedy's is good too. Again, expensive. So, I mean, a lot of these people are really good. Some are going to charge you more than others depending on if they run this as a business or if it's a hobby for them, things like that. So,
correct.
Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Joe says Facebook Marketplace is pretty much taken over for like sales. I've seen that too. Craigslist seems to be more abandoned than usual.
I think so. Yeah, I don't ever go there. Hardly for any. Never.
And he also says he can't stand Arcade 1UP, but I really want one of the Tron ones. I sold my original Tron in the early 90s for $200 and felt...
Oh, gosh.
And felt like I did good. Well, who would have thought? Oh, my goodness. Tron has just skyrocketed. The only thing about the Tron Arcade 1UP is I've seen the joysticks break. It's pretty common, so just keep that in mind. You may need to get a replacement joystick. Arcade 1UP support is pretty good about replacing those, but they break on the regular, so... Arcade Dude 64 at California Extreme. About 8 years ago, I saw a Tron for $800. I tried to call, but some woman beat me to it and called him 5 minutes earlier. Oh, well, someday. Yeah, Trons are going for like $2,000 or $3,000 now. So, they're definitely more desirable than they were, and they're not making any more of them. So, if you can get a hold of a board set, Tim at one time had a cabinet made, and we were planning to build one from scratch, which you ended up selling that project.
I sold everything.
But you can build one from scratch if you wanted to. It's not that bad. So,
right.
I mean, maybe something you consider if you want to go that route. Maybe cheaper at this point.
Right, maybe.
There we go. Okay, Tim. Well, that wraps it up for the regular live show. We will be going on to the after show. Now, for those people who have not watched this before, the after show is just like the regular show, except no subject is off limits. We can talk about anything we want. Most of the time, we talk about stuff outside of arcade repair there. So, Tim, with that in mind, what teases would you like to put in for the after show? You talked about football.
Right.
So, we'll talk some football.
We'll have some movies and things that we watched. We had some pretty interesting sporting event.
Oh, yeah.
Things that happened.
Yeah, so a Texas team is in the college football championship game.
Yes.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the World Cup final, for those of you people who are soccer fans, or football fans, depending on how you say it. We'll be talking about some NBA, NHL, and of course, Tim mentioned the big injury that happened in the NFL. We'll talk about that a little bit. We also... Gravere 2, who was in the house earlier, had a couple of questions for after show stuff, and so we'll answer those, including how did that hot tub work out for us?
Okay.
Because last month I teased that I bought an inflatable hot tub.
Great question.
Exactly. I bought an inflatable hot tub, and as you can see, we are not in it right now. So obviously that gives you a little bit of a hint, but we can talk about that. And he also was wondering if we ever bought AMC or GameStop when it went crazy. And we can talk about that. And of course, TV shows, movies, one that we both watched, Tim, that we both enjoyed, and things like that. So if you're interested in talking just general entertainment, pop culture stuff, or even arcade repair related questions, we do answer those in the after show as well. Please stay tuned here in about 5 or 10 minutes if you're watching this live, and we'll be back for that. But if this is your off-ramp, you're getting off here, you're going to go watch the rest of the Mavericks game if you're like me, Tim, or if you're going to go do something else, we want to thank you for joining us for the regular live show this month. And we do want to remind you again, it is the first Thursday night of every month at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. We will be back here with you next month, February, Tim. And we look forward to seeing you then. Tim, anything before we head out and go the after show or take off?
It's nice to see some new faces in the crowd and the chat room today. Thank you for being here. Hope that you come back sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you guys, man. This was a big crowd, and we love that, Tim. When it makes the show when we have more people here. We love having you guys here. We always have the saying here, Tim, it's not the same without you, and you know why? Because you're interacting with us during the show. Right. So when you're here, it's like you're a part of the show, and it really is. You know, me and Tim sit up here, we're on a camera, and we're just talking to you guys, but it's you guys that we're interacting with, so we want to thank all the people who are here for the live show tonight, and hopefully, if you weren't here to watch it live, you'll be back with us for the next one in February. Well, Tim, I don't think there's anything left to say. We got the after show after this, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, if this is your off-ramp, we do want to remind you that here are Arcade Repair Tips. When we fix the game,
play the game.
Take care, everybody, and we'll see you in the after show, or we'll see you in February for our next episode.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
And we're back here, guys, for the after show. Tim, I felt like we were a little bit faster than usual.
Yeah.
I totally forgot my bottled water tonight, so if I'm a little more hoarse than usual, maybe I should go run and get one.
I had an episode during the middle. I just lost my voice. I had to drink some right in the middle of the show, but thank you.
Talking for a while, it'll really do number on your throat for sure. So, but we're in the after show, which means that all topics are available. No topic is off limits. So we appreciate you guys hanging on for this. So Joe did say something here. He said, I used to ride my dinosaur to see the old shows. Been a fan forever. Thanks, guys. Literally, I mean, you think about it, Tim. We were doing, I think our first episode of the Question Answer podcast was 2009.
Okay.
So you're talking about 14 years worth of audio from us and videos. Golly, that's a long time. How many? I mean, we're like the OG of the arcade repair. YouTube channels for sure. There have been more. There have been some that have come around. There are some that are more popular, but we're the consistent. We're the consistent ones.
I think
right?
so.
So, yeah. So, if you go to our website or to our podcast feed, you can see all the question and answer podcast episodes. Like on our website, we have all of them still there. So you can go back and listen to everything. And Tim, like I said, I appreciate all you guys who are going back through and listening to some of the older ones and everything. So, I mean, that's cool. Like I said, I don't know. If I went back and listened to them, I have a feeling I would really, really think it sounded terrible.
Probably.
But, you know how it is. I mean, so.
Couldn't do it.
Right, exactly. I don't think I could do it, but congrats to those of you guys who are. So, for sure. And the live show, I don't ever feel like the live show was as bad. The Question and Answer podcast, I feel like there were some of those episodes that drug on pretty long. Because we would literally go through, like, every single question we got for the month. And so, like, there's a 3-4 hour show in there. But I don't know if... Tim, I just don't enjoy listening or doing anything that long anymore. No. Like, I think an hour and a half to 2 hours is the sweet spot. So if you can do that, I feel like you're good. So there you go. But anyway, let us talk about some of the stuff. Tim, December, what happened? You have a good one?
Yeah, had a great December. Took off. Went to Fayetteville, Arkansas. That was my trip, remember. I didn't get to go to any arcades up there because I got to hang out with my best friend from high school who I had not seen in probably 10 or 15 years. And, I mean, we were thick as thieves back in the day. And he graduated about a year before me and moved to Arkansas and got married. So by the time I got out of high school, he was already in college up there. So that's kind of where we lost touch. But during high school, I mean, we hung out every day. And we had the best time. He took me to 2 places that you really need to go while you're in Bentonville. We went to the Crystal Bridges. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay. This is something Deirdre would love. And to be honest, when another guy picks you up and tells you he's going to take you to an art gallery, I didn't know how to feel about that at first. But it's so amazing. Google search Crystal Bridges. You'll understand. If that place costs less than $100 million, I don't know how they did it for that less. I mean, it's probably in the top 20 wonders of the world. It was so amazing and so beautiful, and they will not tell you how much it costs because they don't want it. It's always free. Wow. And they don't want it to cost anything, and they don't want people to be thinking about that part of it. They bus kids' schools up there to see it, and they pay for the gas in the buses so that it's completely free.
Wow.
So what it is Ann Walton, the daughter of Mr. Walton, Sam Walton, who started Walmart. She started this art gallery up there. They also have the museum of Walmart, and it was closed, so I didn't get to see like Sam Walton's truck and stuff. But if you're in Bentonville, by all means, you need to go there. And it was definitely, I was so glad my friend took me. It was just amazing. And it's constantly changing. They have traveling artists that come through there. And so there's if you went next month, it'd be totally different. And so it's very unique, very beautiful. Just wish I could have had even more time to see it. And it was amazing. So right after I got back from Fayetteville, it was Christmas week and I was off. So I hadn't been off for the whole week of Christmas in a while. My son was in from South Carolina. Lacey came in from Henderson, which is about 40 miles away. We just had a good family time. Every night we were playing board games, and we got into a game called Wahoo. And it's a board game you play. You roll dice and move marbles around. And you send people back home. Anyway, So simple, but we had the grand champion of that, and I must say that we won on the last move. Best of 7. It was like the NBA Finals at our house. It took several days to play that many games. We really had a good time. So that was good. And then I was off work for New Year's Eve, and we didn't do anything. We just kind of sat at the house. I woke up about 10 minutes till midnight and went, oh, it's almost midnight. Hey, Happy New Year. And my wife said, and the dog said, don't move. I'm sleepy. And we went back to sleep. But it was good, relaxing time. I needed the time away and to decompress. And I didn't feel like I really got much of anything I wanted to get accomplished. I didn't get my Arcade 1-Up put together. But I did get a few other little things done. So it's not a total wash. How was yours?
It was good. So December was crazy.
Yeah.
Literally every weekend doing something and then preparing for stuff during the week. So the last live show, we had not done the Christmas parade. And so, like, literally we did the last live show and I was preparing to put a float together on Saturday. That Saturday we went to the local little city Christmas parade where our church is located.
Yeah.
And we put all that together and we went and we walked and it was fun. And then the next weekend I had to prepare for, what was the next thing after that? Christmas musical for the kids. And so, like, there's a Christmas musical church for the kids. My wife is the children's minister at our church. And so we had a Christmas musical. And so, like, almost every night we did practice for that with the kids, taking them up there. And then finally Sunday they did the musical and it was really great. And then the the Friday night after that was the outreach event that we do every year, which was called Reindeer Games. And it was basically families competing against each other in minute to win it games. And there were prizes and things like that. So it was really fun. We had a lot of fun doing that. And so, but we had to prepare all that kind of stuff too. And then, so finally that last week before Christmas, I kind of had some actual Christmas stuff, like presents wrapped and things like that. And it just felt like it went by in a flash.
Yeah.
Like, so fast just because of all that. And I did, I got the Friday and Monday off for Christmas and for New Year's. So New Year's, we let the kids stay up till 11 to see the ball drop in New York, and then we all went to sleep. And Sunday at church, my little son was up at the front of the front of the auditorium for Children's Moment and had the biggest yawn, and like everybody laughed. So, you know, because it was New Year's Day, obviously. Yeah, he was tired. And so he anyway, so I mean, it was good. It was fast and furious. I mentioned the Polar Express. We did that too. Just fast and furious, but it was great. And Christmas Day was great with the kids, of course. Like, watching them open presents is always one of my favorite things. So, but it was good. And New Year's, like I said, we stayed up and watched the ball drop, but we went to sleep after that. And by the time we got the kids down and me and Deirdre got to bed, I told her Happy New Year. It was finally midnight Central Time. So, but we had church the next day. And same thing on Christmas. We had church the next day on Christmas too. And so that always makes things a little tighter, a little bit more compressed. Like church especially on Christmas Day. I think I mentioned that in the last live show. Church on Christmas Day, we kind of have a little gap in there. Usually we go straight to my parents, but because of church, we kind of go to church and then my parents. And so it kind of tightens up everything. Makes it a little bit more frantic. But hey, I mean, that's what Christmas Day is all about if you're religious. So it is what it is. So anyway. But that's about it. If you guys are in the live chat and still hanging around, how did your Christmas and New Year's go? What'd you guys do? If you did anything fun, let us know. I want to know. So, let's move on though. We'll get those updates as they come in. Tim, any investment advice? I mentioned in the regular live show about a recession coming up. I kind of feel like we're on the verge of that. And so,
a lot of stuff still on sale. I'm waiting not Twitter. What am I thinking of? Some stocks I'm waiting to see if they go any lower. I'm almost like, gosh, I've got to buy some of these stocks while they're at these sale prices. If Tesla goes under $100, I'm gonna buy some.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm still pretty scared to contribute too hard to anything. So, heating oil that I bought a couple months ago is doing really well. So
I'm sure.
I've almost tripled my money on that. So that's a good thing to be in. Remember, we talked about commodities. Certain times of the year is always going to be, heating oil is always up in the winter.
Yep.
So I bought it a few months back in September.
Let's also say that right now, bonds and CDs are not such a bad gig
Right.
for some of that stuff because, there's, with the interest rate so high, the interest rate on a lot of those things is higher than usual.
That's
So
true.
you may want to do that. If you haven't looked into a different savings account, if your savings account is yielding less than about 4%, you may look at a different company for your savings account because there's some companies out there giving at least 4% on savings right now.
Right.
So money markets are good to have in too a lot of times because they guarantee you some money back in that, some money back. So, I mean, there are some opportunities always to make money on your money, and so you just need to find those. But the market as a whole has been rough.
Yes.
And that is no joke. And so it may get rougher. So advice would be to prepare.
Crypto's definitely taking a beating, but it keeps coming back.
I don't
It doesn't go
want
away.
to tell you guys what I lost in my 401k last year.
Wow.
I don't want to mention it. In fact, I don't ever want to think about it ever again.
Ever again.
So, but it was a lot. So it was painful. Last year was painful, Tim. So anyway, but just be smart with your investments. And with Tim, we mentioned this before. We do like Webull. So Webull is a platform that me and Tim both use. And so if you guys are not into investing but would like to get into it, sign up for Webull through either my link or Tim's link. You'll get a free stock. We'll get a free stock, all that kind of stuff. It's really good. And it'll get you started on looking at some stocks and things. There's also, Tim, we've talked about like the funds as well, exchange trade funds, which are really good. ETFs are very good. So, Tim, to be honest with you, both of my ETFs that are, what do you call it when they yield a, what do you call it? Like when you get a yield from it?
A dividend.
A dividend. Thank you. So I have, I'm invested in several ETFs that are dividend driven, and those ETFs are holding or are better than what I paid for them, and I'm getting money. So, which is really nice. So you may look at like ETFs and things like that. Nice thing about that is an ETF is kind of like a mutual fund. You can spread your money out among a lot of different stocks and things, and it can that way if one thing goes down, you're not kind of stuck in that one thing kind of thing. So you may look at stuff like that as well. Again, totally up to you. Make your own decisions. We're not responsible for any investment advice that you get or anything like that, but there's just some strategies that may help you out. So. Let's go to sports talk real quick, Tim. Now, we mentioned all this. So, I think it'd be impossible to do this without mentioning Damar Hamlin.
Yeah.
So, for those of you guys who may have been watching the Monday night game with the Bills versus the Bengals, right? The safety for the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin, he made a tackle, got up, and then fell straight back. Tim, the reports are positive today,
yes,
which was
very
good to hear
positive.
that he is awake. He has been talking and communicating. Sounds like he's still in rough shape, but obviously, Tim, all the thoughts, prayers have been working. So let us continue to do that, and hopefully, he will make a full recovery. Because Tim, I tell you what, I saw the video of that, and it was one of the scariest things I've ever seen.
It was.
To see a guy. Whenever you see somebody fall backwards and not try to catch themselves, that's a real giveaway that something is seriously wrong.
And to see the expressions on the teammates and stuff, that was just really heart-wrenching to watch.
Yeah, agreed.
And,
so I'm just so glad to hear that he's doing better, and hopefully he will make a full recovery. But Tim, it sounds like it's going to be slow going. So I don't know how many more updates we'll get, but he is conscious. He has been talking, which is really great. So we're just going to hope and pray for continued progress for him for sure. Moving to something a little bit more happy, Tim, is that TCU is in the national championship game. And TCU, of course, is Texas Christian University in Abilene, Texas, Tim. I have a lot of friends who are big fans of TCU, and so they are extremely happy that this is happening. And I believe that game takes place on Monday, right, Tim?
yes, this coming Monday.
So, and they are playing Georgia, which is going to be a huge task. They play Missouri. Is that who they played?
No, Georgia.
No. TCU. Who they play to get in? What was their plan?
Michigan.
I knew it was an M. I couldn't think. Michigan. So I know that nobody expected them to pass Michigan. That was a big deal. And so, for them to beat Michigan and go into the national championship, who would have thought, Tim?
Right.
Crazy. So good luck to TCU in the national championship. No offense to any Georgia fans out there. I just want to see TCU win it.
Yeah.
Come from nowhere. Tim, I think before the season started, they were a 20,000 to 1 shot to win the national championship, just to give you an idea. So I root for underdogs, Tim. I like underdogs. So let's see TCU win this thing, right?
That would be amazing.
But if Georgia wins it, good for them too. I mean, Georgia's to me, they are kind of the number one. They're the big dog. So, I mean, they should win it.
They should.
I hope for a good game. And like I said, I'm going to be pulling for TCU the whole way. So any other football thoughts, Tim, before we move on?
Well, my team definitely did not fare very well in the bowl
Oh,
game.
yeah, that's right.
It was a great game, but it was close, and they did lose. So, in Texas,
I was very happy with Texas's performance. I forget who we were playing. It wasn't anybody. I don't think it was anybody big. But hey, we won.
Right.
So
it was actually some really good bowl games. I think a lot of people were unhappy with some of the pairings, but then look at it. You got Tulane Greenway beating USC.
Yeah.
I mean, by 2 points.
Right.
There were a lot of close games. Georgia's game was very close. So, people always complain, they should have played this, should have played them. I think they did a pretty good job of matchups this year. I liked Oklahoma versus Florida State. I thought those were two. And Florida State was favored to win by 3 touchdowns. It was a close 2-point game. You know, so I think that whoever did I still would like to see the expanded playoff team. It's hard to say Alabama shouldn't have been in the playoffs. Were they better than Michigan? I don't know. But at the same time, maybe an expanded 8-team or whatever would be nice. But I do think they got the matchups right.
So, football-wise, Cowboys doing good too. And we're very excited. Tim, the Cowboys could win the division. That's
going to be an interesting...
Jalen Hurts is hurt.
But he's going to play.
But he's hurt.
Right.
I don't think he's 100%. So he is going to play.
So the Giants have nothing to win.
Right.
Except for winning.
Right. And Washington has given up, and that's who we're playing.
Yes. And so if you were Giants, realistically, would you rest your starters? Or do you beat the Eagles because you can and send a message?
I think if they beat the Eagles, though, that could give them
I think they have had some really up and down games. They've had some really good games and really bad games. I think that they're going to play their starters and try to beat them and give them that momentum and chance, which will also help the Cowboys if the Giants can
win. Because Washington's like putting their third string out there for us. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be,
We'll see. You never know on any given day. You also don't want your players to get hurt.
That's right.
So Dak is limping himself, so we may not see him play much. It may be Cooper Rush, but we're pretty confident going into this playoffs. It's the best team that we had. Now the big question has been, do we want to play the Bucks and Tom Brady, right? Or what's the other choice?
Aaron Rodgers. So here's the deal.
Both of them have historically been bad for the Cowboys.
What is the Cowboys' record in the postseason against Tom Brady? Do you know?
Oh, I guess we're 0-1. I don't know.
No, it's like 9-0.
9-0?
Yeah.
We
never won against him.
I didn't even know we played him that much.
Yeah, apparently. So do you really want to play him again?
Not really.
No, I don't either.
But I would love to get revenge on the Packers.
Agreed.
And we struggle with everybody in the playoffs. So let's be honest. Mm-hmm. This may be our year to overcome anybody that we come against. We'll play whoever, but it sure would be sweet to really put it on the Packers.
Anyway, I don't want the Bucks.
Yeah.
So give me the Packers. I don't like the matchup either way, but give me the Packers. The Packers are not good, and we lost to them.
But if we win the overall #1 seed, and
that's true,
it could change.
Yeah,
we could be playing San Francisco or something. We don't know.
We'll see.
Or bye-bye.
Anyway, let me transition to World Cup final. Tim, did you keep track of the World Cup after the U.S. was out?
No, not after U.S. lost.
I did not either, but I watched the final.
Okay.
And it was fantastic. It was the best soccer ever. Like, there was scoring, there was defense. It went to, what is
Not
it?
Sudden death.
Yeah. It went to penalty. It went to kicks. Right, exactly. And so, literally, it was both teams playing their hearts out, playing their guts out. It was amazing. And Lionel Messi, that dude was awesome. But you can't say enough about Francis Mbappe. Golly, Tim, he played his heart and soul out in that game. It was hard to watch either team lose. But somebody had to. Congratulations to Argentina. Tim, I don't care if you are not a soccer fan. You should go back and watch that final.
Right.
Okay, because it is good. It is entertaining soccer. It's not back and forth, no scoring for like an hour or two.
Right.
It's not that. It is scoring is back and forth. It is you know how it is like momentum shifting. Mm-hmm. It was momentum shifting that entire time. And then when they went into like extra time, and then there was more momentum shifts and things like it's crazy. So definitely worth going back and watching that if you haven't seen it. I think most people call it the best World Cup final in like years. So if you have some time to watch that, you should.
we should mention that the best soccer player of all time did pass away.
That's right, Pele.
Pele.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you're too young to know who that is, you should Google him. We had a lot of Atari games and stuff named after. He was awesome. Yeah. Pele was the only 3-time World Cup winner.
Have you seen Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell?
No.
Okay, and well, Will Ferrell plays like the son, and his dad is Robert Duvall, I think.
Okay.
And in that, he has a Pele ball that, like, apparently his son was going to catch, but the dad kind of swiped it from him from the last second. They fight over the Pele ball, which is really funny. So if you haven't seen Kicking and Screaming, it's one of Will Ferrell's earlier movies, but it's really funny.
Okay.
It has Mike Ditka in it, among other people. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Wow.
But there you go. So that's soccer talk.
Okay.
Not like we do a whole lot of soccer talk around here, but there's some. Let's talk NBA, NHL. Tim, I am happy to report that both of the Dallas teams are doing very well. The Mavericks have gone on I think they're on a 7-game win streak. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. We'll see about that. And then the Stars that were doing very well. They've lost the last couple, but they are still, I think, number 2 in the division or something like that in the conference. Number 2 in the conference. So they're doing very well. But Tim, probably the biggest thing to mention about the Mavericks, if you haven't seen this guy Luka Doncic play, you need to take a look. The guy is awesome. There's going to be a national game. Tonight might even be the national game. There's a national game coming up on ESPN. If you get a chance to watch the Mavericks on ESPN in a national game, do it. If you did not see Luka's 60-21-10 game, Tim, that was amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know basketball, 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists. Okay, never been done before. Never been done.
Right.
The dude is a machine. Tim.
Right.
Like he dominates on the court.
Game winner to take it in overtime.
That's right.
That was the most.
He thought he won though. He did
shot.
A dance.
Yeah.
Did you see the dance? He thought he won the game there. He didn't, and then he just continued to put on a fantastic game after that.
Yeah.
So I mean, golly. So for Christmas, I got my Luka ones, Tim. They're in the other room. I got my Luka 1 shoes. I am a huge Luka fan. The guy is he's definitely right now probably top 3 players in the league. I don't know if you can name. Because, LeBron's not even top 3 right now. I'd probably put Stephen Curry up there still just because, man, the guy is good, like, shooting-wise and everything. And I think he scored more points than Luka at this point.
Wow.
But, like, you can't rate too many other players above Luka Doncic, Tim.
Not right now.
Not right now. So, you need to check him out if you haven't already. Great stuff. And the Mavericks as a whole are playing really good. Tim Christian Wood, Spencer Dinwiddie, a lot of great players that are starting to play up to their ability. Right now, if they can continue to play like this, Tim, there's not going to be too many teams that are going to be able to beat them.
No.
So I will say that. And the Stars are doing really well. New coach this year, Tim, has actually got them scoring more than we did the past couple of years. He's unleashed some of the offense, opened up some of the avenues for that, and it's really good to see. So if you follow hockey at all, Stars are really fun to watch too. If you guys have other teams that you guys follow, let us know what your teams are. I always like to know. So,
I'm sure there is some teams really playing pretty good. The guy played pretty good for the Cavaliers the other day, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had a lot of points. So.
Right. And then the last thing I have on sports is the XFL starts on February 18th. Now, me and Tim talked a lot about the XFL last time it came around. We went to the last sporting event we went before COVID struck was an XFL game for Tim's birthday.
Literally about a week before everything shut down.
That's right. So we were at the game with Tim. Had a great time.
It was fun.
It was fun.
We had a great time.
And there's another XFL game, home game, around Tim's birthday. So if Tim's up for that, we may end up doing that this time too.
Sounds very good.
For those of you guys who don't know, the Arlington Renegades, who are the local team to us, are coached by one Bob Stoops, and Tim is a huge Oklahoma fan from back in forever.
Right.
And so Bob Stoops is a name that he recognizes very well. And so and I tell you what, our teams have played good, but here's the thing: you can't find enough good quarterbacks in the NFL. There aren't enough good quarterbacks in the XFL either. Okay,
right.
And so interceptions are common. That's kind of what makes it more exciting for me, is to see there's a lot of offense happening, going back and forth and things. And so it definitely is minor league style football, Tim. But here's the deal: tickets are cheap. It's still professional football, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
And I want to go back. So let's do it.
We met Russell Maryland there.
That's right. You guys did. So I got there. Me and my brother got there later, but you guys got there and did that. That was fun. Couple other discussions here, Tim. So Gravere 2 apparently has been going back through some of our older shows.
Okay.
And so if you're still in the live chat here, Gravere, you can tell us. But he had a question about the hot tub. So last episode in the after show, I mentioned that I got an inflatable hot tub.
That's right.
And Tim, just like your Blitz, it's still in the box. So we have not opened it yet.
Right.
I got to find enough room to set it up. So, but once I do that, we will take it out and we will give it a spin. It's a small one. It wasn't very much. It was cheap. Got a good deal on it. But it is still in the box for now. But I'm about ready to crack open that sucker and have some quality hot tub in time. Maybe next live show we'll be in a hot tub, right? So, live streaming from Arcade Repair Tips World Hot Tub Headquarters.
Yes.
So, so there you go. But we can be like those Twitch streamers, like they were talking about, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, you don't want to see any of this. No, you definitely don't. He also said, out of curiosity, did you guys buy AMC or GameStop when it went crazy? So, I did not. So here's the funny thing: I had GameStop before it went crazy and sold it before it went crazy. Okay, and I made a couple bucks. I didn't make a ton of money, but I made money, but not as much as I would have made if I would have held on to it through the bump. Mm-hmm. Now, Tim, you were in on AMC a little bit. So how did that work out for you?
Well, I was part of the reason why I don't do much with Robinhood anymore is because it would not let me sell. When it had went so high, I think, what was it, over $300 or something? I was trying to sell and it would not go through. I could not sell my stuff. I ended up selling at a good profit. Probably the most money I ever made, but the difference probably was $5,000 where I could have made $15,000 or $20,000 easily, and it would not let me sell. So yes, I was definitely a part of some of that, and paid a lot of taxes on that. Yeah.
There you go. And that's a reminder too that tax season's coming up, so make sure that you import that stuff. And Tim, with my tax software, it's easy. I just go in, I log in, they give you the login information. You literally just import all your trades in there. It takes like literally about 5 minutes, and you got everything there.
Usually helps me on my taxes the way I've lost.
And I used to have like multiple platforms. I used to have E-Trade and all these. Now Weeble's about it for me. So I mean, that's where I keep everything. So I only have to import the one now. So, I mean, because Robinhood, I took everything out of Robinhood when all that fiasco went down. So, I mean, I think I have some stocks there that I'm just kind of holding on to, but, I mean, pretty much all of it's gone at this point. But make sure you do those imports whenever you do your taxes. Very important. So, but yeah, so Tim got in on that a little bit. I did not. If I would have held for about another year, I would have made some buku money on GameStop because I was in at 15.
Right.
What did it end up going up to?
Yeah.
I forget.
400?
Yeah, so I would have made some good money. But it is what it is. So I made money, just not as much as I wanted. So, okay, movie and TV talk. So before we start on this, if you are watching right now and you have some movies or TV shows that you're watching that you want us to talk about, let us know. We are going to talk about some of the stuff that we saw, but we want to hear if there's anything good that you saw as well. I had one recommendation on my list from somebody else that I just finished watching, and so I love to hear recommendations for shows, Tim.
Sure.
So if you've got any ones that you've really enjoyed that I haven't checked out yet, let us know. So, Tim, let's start with you, though. I only had 2 down for you, but you probably have more.
I watched a lot more, but it was like there were a couple that were really memorable. And one of them that I really... Did you get to watch Don't Answer the Phone yet?
No, I put it on my list. I kind of read the synopsis. It looked interesting.
Okay, it's very interesting. Documentary about something that took place that I wasn't aware. And it's funny being in the restaurant business for so long that this actually happened. Basically, this guy, it's not ruining it. You'll see how it took place. A guy would call up McDonald's, and he would say that he was a police officer, and one of their team members, somebody had accused him of stealing some money. And he would say, okay, take them to the office, and they got 2 choices, like either they can come down to the station and we're going to search them, or we'll let you do the search real quick, and if you don't find anything, we'll just call it done. And so most of them knew their manager and said, well, what do they want? And they'd say, well, make them empty their pockets and stuff. And it got down to it to where this guy had, posing as an officer, used his influence and would talk people into doing the craziest stuff. And some of it was just bizarre. So I'll leave that there. What kind of stuff did he talk these people into doing over the phone? And obviously, he, not just once, like 50 or more times, and all over the country, and how he could talk some people into doing things that normally they would never do. In fact, some of them got in very bad legal trouble for doing things that they were out of character for them, but they actually let somebody talk them into doing. And you cannot do that, right? You can't. Somebody says you shoot your neighbor, you don't do it. But how he used manipulation. So that was the thing. Don't answer the phone, because if you answer the phone, it might be this crazy guy, and he might talk you into doing something you're not supposed to be doing. So that's a good show to watch. Different McDonald's, different fast food places is what he tend to pick on.
Okay.
And so
I saw the description. I was kind of curious when you said that. I had not heard of it.
I mean, it's very crazy, and the ending is shocking.
Wow.
Shocking ending, and kind of twists, and all this is great. And it's only, I think, 4 episodes. Be prepared if you start watching, you probably watch all 4 of them.
Okay.
It's hard to stop once you get started. It's very good.
It's the Lay's potato chips of TV shows.
That it is.
Can't watch just one.
If anybody's watched it out there, it's called Don't Answer the Phone.
Okay. And did you have anything else, Tim, before we go into the
I've watched so much stuff. I watched a lot of Christmas movies. One I won't talk about all, because I like even the cheesy Hallmark ones, same plot every time. But I watch them with my wife. We enjoy it. But there was one that actually had a really interesting plot, and it's kind of one of my favorite Christmas movies of this time. I think it was called I Believe in Santa or something. And the plot was this guy seemed like the perfect guy. They met on the 4th of July picnic. Everything she wanted, checked off every box. Everything was fine, except she wasn't really into Christmas. And this guy took Christmas to the extreme and believed in Santa. And so she was like, how can he be such a perfect guy? And can I go 11 months of the year and be the happiest person ever and deal with this guy's Christmas for 1 month? And so that's just a funny show. I think it's called I Believe in Santa. If you get a chance to watch another Christmas movie, or you're in the mood to watch another one, that one was good. Okay. But other than that, I think maybe I'll remember something I've been watching. Nothing that's sticking out in my brain as of now.
So we both watched Black Adam on
Yes.
HBO Max, right?
Yes.
So this was the superhero movie with The Rock.
Yes.
Okay, and it was good.
Very entertaining. I thought.
I don't know if I would have gone to the movie theater to see it, but
I was kind of glad I saw it at home.
Yeah, I think seeing it at home was good. Yeah, it was good. Plot was good. There's a little bit of a twist there about the powers and stuff like that, and I appreciated that. I don't know much of the story of Black Adam. Tim.
I didn't know until I kind of watched it, and it was good.
Yeah, and he's kind of an anti-hero. He's not necessarily a hero, and so that kind of plays into some of the interest of the movie as well. So, but overall, Tim, I'd probably give it like 6, 7.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. Probably around a 6 or a 7.
About a 7 for me.
I don't know if I'd go out of my way to watch it, but if you have HBO Max and you're looking for something to watch,
there you go.
I think it's worth the watch.
Yeah.
Don't sign up for HBO Max for it.
Right.
But if you have HBO Max, watch it. That's what I would say. So I thought it was good, though. So what about you? Think about 6 or 7 for you too?
Yeah, about that.
Okay, sounds good. Let me talk.
Probably better than I thought it would be.
Right. I was probably expecting more of a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. And it ended up being better. 6 or 7, I think, is better than what I expected for sure. So let me talk about some of the stuff I've been watching.
Okay.
So I watched Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery.
I've seen that and haven't watched it.
It is now the 5th most watched movie on Netflix.
Okay.
So I am a huge Knives Out fan. I have said this in the past. I love Knives Out. It's one of my favorite movies. And this did not disappoint. It is good. It. Okay. It is really good. The only thing is that the end, there's a little bit of, I have some qualms with the way it ended. I understand. Okay. They wanted the sensational ending, and they could have put a really just kind of blah. They could have put a really smart ending onto the end of it, where she kind of catches the guy and everything's done.
Could have been.
But instead, they just blew everything up.
Okay.
Literally. I'm not going to give too much of a spoiler. Okay. But they just blow everything up. And so they could have been smarter about the ending, but there's no substitute for blowing things up, Tim.
Right.
Right. I mean, sometimes you just want the sensation.
You're gonna end.
That's right. So it is what it is. It's good. You should watch it. It's got Edward Norton in it. It's got Kate Hudson in it, Tim. It's got
Okay. See, I've been on the fence about watching it, so I'm glad that you said it was good.
A whole bunch of other people in it. So a lot of great actors. Of course, Daniel Craig's in it because he reprises his role as the detective in it. Angela Lansbury's in it for just a second, Tim.
Oh, interesting.
So and some other people as well. So it's got a great cast. And it's pretty well written overall. I do like it. Like I said, the ending I had some qualms with, but other than that, so that probably ranks a 7 or 8 for me.
Okay.
Okay, but again, that's my movie. That's my jam. Whodunits are a thing for me. So,
right.
like it. Tim, I watched Violent Night.
Okay.
So do you know what Violent Night is?
I do know.
Okay, so Santa is delivering gifts on
Right.
Christmas Eve, right? Like he's delivering his gifts. And one of the houses he delivers gifts to, there are some terrorists that have taken over this rich family's house and they're looking for the money.
Okay.
Well, you know Santa can't have that, Tim.
Right.
So what does Santa do?
He takes up.
He busts some heads.
All right.
Okay, this is literally Die Hard meets Santa Claus. This is
Okay.
what this movie is. And it is way better than it should be. Way better than what it
Really?
should be. Okay?
Okay.
You will like this movie. If you
Okay,
like,
wow.
if you like Die Hard, okay, which I'm a
Right.
fan, and you like Christmas movies,
Okay.
you will like this movie.
Okay.
This movie is a solid 8, Tim.
Wow.
And just to tell you, I like this better probably than, maybe a little bit better than Glass Onion, to be honest with you, even though I did like both. But it is really good.
Okay.
And David Harbour, I think is the guy who plays Santa,
Mm-hmm.
does a great job. And it is ridiculous. Okay, it is
Okay.
ridiculous in parts, but that kind of plays into it, right?
Right.
The concept is ridiculous. Okay, right? So they have to be a little loose with it, right?
Right.
But it is really good. Santa goes in, takes out the terrorists, saves the family. I mean, am I spoiling anything by telling you guys this?
Right.
Hopefully you
Hopefully
know.
Santa wins,
I mean, it's
right?
literally the plot of Die Hard, right?
Right.
Like Die Hard. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, take Die Hard, put Santa in there, you got a movie, right? This is
Okay.
what we got. So it is good, and you should watch it.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll be on a streaming service soon besides the on-demand. But I saw it like a week before Christmas on the on-demand stuff, and I'm like, I've got to watch this thing. Right? I've got to watch it. So, I mean, I bought it and did it, and it was worth it. So,
Okay.
worth every penny of it. So, hopefully you guys will watch Violent Night. It was better than what I expected by far.
Okay.
By far.
See, I'm thinking like Bad Santa.
No.
It's not like. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Die
good.
Hard with Santa.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Okay.
Take Bruce Willis, put David Harbour in a Santa suit there,
Okay.
okay? And here's the deal. He's Santa, Tim. So what does Santa have?
Right.
Magical
Magic
powers.
powers,
Okay.
okay.
So he's got some of that in here, okay?
Okay.
So I will say that, okay? So,
Terrorists picked the wrong people. to
that's
rob
right.
that
They,
night,
they,
right?
they, they should. You don't rob. You shouldn't be terrorizing a house where Santa's delivering. That's
Exactly.
all I'm saying.
Okay.
So it was good. Highly recommended. Tim, the other night, me and my wife were looking for something to watch, and we decided on a rom-com because it's been a while since I've seen a good one. Now,
Okay.
you mentioned Hallmark movies. Like,
Yeah.
all Hallmark movies are rom-coms, right?
Right.
Romantic comedies. But I have a thing that the rom-com has to have good acting for me to watch it. And a
Okay.
good script.
Okay.
Which totally eliminates most Hallmark movies automatically, okay?
Right.
I need good acting and I need a good script. So About Fate is a romantic comedy with
I
Emma
saw this.
Roberts.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Emma Roberts, who's a very good actress and does very good in this. It's also got Cheryl Hines. And it's
Okay.
got a couple of other actors and actresses you will recognize, okay? But have you ever seen Serendipity with John Cusack
Yes.
and what's her name?
Yes.
It is very much in the style of that.
Okay.
Do not watch the trailer if you're going to watch this. Because the
Okay,
trailer
it shows
spoiled
everything.
too much. It didn't show
Okay.
everything.
I know.
But it kind of spoils the first part of the movie. Because they leave you guessing in the beginning. And I feel like if I would have been left guessing, I may have enjoyed the movie
So don't watch
more.
the trailer. Watch the movie.
Right.
Just
So
go
it is
straight
a
to
Prime Video movie.
Okay.
Okay. So you don't. Most of you guys who are watching this probably have Prime, so you can watch it for free. But it is cute. It's basically about a girl and some proposals that happen, and then her sister gets married, and she has to find a guy to take to the wedding and stuff like this. Okay.
Okay.
And it has a kind of twist ending, which I
Okay.
was not expecting. Ooh, twist.
Right.
Like, do you expect a twist in a rom-com?
No, not
usually. So I like twists. And so it has, the twist was good. I did not know how they were going to resolve it, and they did it perfectly. Very good. Very well written, very well acted, an actual decent rom-com about fate. So there you go. Tim, I've been watching Doom Patrol. The new season's out right now on HBO Max. I love Doom Patrol. It is fantastically weird, and you should only watch it if you have a very disturbed sense of humor like I do. So,
Okay.
but I love Doom Patrol. It's very entertaining. Highly recommended. I watched a documentary, Call Me Miss Cleo.
Okay, haven't seen this.
Okay, you know who Miss Cleo is?
No.
Call Me Now.
Oh, okay.
That Miss
Yeah,
Cleo.
okay.
So this is a documentary on what happened to Miss Cleo.
Oh, okay.
And it's very interesting. So if you remember the psychic
Psychic
hotline
hotline?
with
Yeah.
Miss Cleo, and you're like, what happened
Call
to
me
Miss
Miss
Cleo?
Cleo.
Call me Miss Cleo.
Okay.
You will know. I don't want to spoil anything. It was good. Again, I just watched it out of pure fascination. It's like I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know. So, and then Tim, this last one was something that I listened to another radio show and he recommended.
Okay.
I knew nothing about it going into it.
Okay.
Candy on
Okay.
Hulu. Do you know anything about this?
Nothing. Could be a lot of things.
It
Could be
is a true story.
Okay.
Okay, it's based on a true story about a housewife in Collin County that has an affair with this other woman's wife and kills her.
Okay.
Okay, and it happened in 1984.
Okay.
I did not know this story at all, but I'm like, it's in Texas.
Ah.
So, like, I should know this story, right? Like, I mean, it takes place literally in Texas. And Jessica Biel is the producer and the main actress in it. And Justin Timberlake also has a role. I think they're a couple, right? Like, I think the two of them are a couple. So Justin Timberlake's in it too. And the acting is fantastic. It is disturbing, like, warning up front. Okay. It is based on a true story. But yeah, so basically, Candy's the name of the housewife. She has an affair with this other wife's guy, and then you can see what kind of goes on from there. Okay. She ends up killing the wife, and I won't tell you what happens at the end if she's innocent or guilty or anything like that.
Interesting.
But I did not know the story at all. Took place 2 years after I was born, Tim. So obviously I wasn't too into it, but it takes place in the 80s, so it's got 80s aesthetic throughout all of it. So I mean, if you're an 80s person, you'll notice that. I mean, they did a really good job with all that stuff. I feel like it takes place in Texas, which obviously is something for you and me because we live here, and so it was very interesting. It is disturbing. So if you don't, I mean, if you can't tolerate the violence and stuff, you may want to skip it, because I mean, the way she takes out this other lady is by helping her with an axe. Okay. So, and it's pretty graphic on the show. I'm not saying they show everything, but it's pretty...
Enough. Huh?
It's enough.
Okay.
And so, but it was fascinating. And at the, it was a slow build, but like when they get to the court scene at the end, I was hooked. I was like, what's going to happen to her? What's going to, how are they going to play this out? What are the lawyers going to do? All this kind of stuff. And it is based on a true story that took place here in Texas, in Collin County. So
I'm a big into true story fans. I watched a documentary, and it caused me to watch an old movie called Monster. It was about the first female serial killer. That documentary was very good. If you've ever seen Monster, it's
was that the one with
Charlize
Theron? Yes, I do remember this.
I went back and watched it after not seeing it for 15 years. It was very different, especially after watching the documentary. I also saw a show called Don't Worry, Darling. Have you seen this?
I have not seen this, but here's the thing. Okay, I've been following the entire tabloid thing between Olivia Wilde and Ted Lasso guy. What's his name? What's Ted Lasso? The actor that plays him.
I know who you're talking about.
Because they split over this movie because she was in it with Harry Styles.
Right.
Okay, so I followed the whole dilemma, but I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, okay.
So.
I will say
it's got Florence Pugh in it. I know everything about it.
It was such a weird movie, and about halfway through, I'm like, I don't even have a clue why I'm watching this. But in the end, I was like, okay, that was pretty good. Okay. It was okay.
Well, I followed the whole tabloid thing between the actor who plays Ted Lasso, who I can't think of what's name he is, and Olivia Wilde, because they split when she met Harry Styles on here. Okay. Now her and Harry Styles though have kind of split up. Okay. And so
they definitely have some on screen chemistry that you can see.
So, Jason Sudeikis. Thank you, Encore's Arcade. Yes. So, Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde broke up basically over this movie. You realize that, right? And, there's a whole thing. She made Harry Styles her special salad, and Jason Sudeikis was upset about this. Have you been following this whole thing?
No,
there's a whole tabloid thing surrounding this movie.
I just watched the movie, and it definitely is really strange.
Yes. So I've been wanting to watch this movie, but I haven't because of that. Now it's on Prime, right? I think.
Yeah, you can watch it on Prime. So you watch it on Prime. That's why I said, well, I didn't have much to lose. I thought about renting it one time, and I thought, no, I'll wait. And I was glad I waited. I'm glad I didn't rent it. But at the same time, I was like, that was kind of neat. It was a different movie. It was a different feel. So
it's got Florence Pugh and who's the guy that acts the guy from Star Trek. I see his face. I can't think of it. He plays Captain Kirk on the new Star Treks.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I know who you're talking about.
That guy's in it.
He's the head guy, kind of, right? Nick or whatever his name is.
Yeah, exactly. But I was about to say, I forget the actor's name. He's a famous actor too. So and somebody's gonna chime in here in a second because I can't remember these people. But yes.
Our real names are pretty hard.
Exactly.
But so. Do you know the premise of the story? It's set in a futuristic 1950s.
I kind of do. Don't spoil anything for me. I'm going to watch this at some point.
You need to watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it. So I followed all the tabloid stuff around it, but never watched it. So I will watch it at some point. Yeah. Okay. I think we're done.
I'm done.
Oh,
need to get.
so we already have several contest entries.
Right, but
and
still time.
I forgot. Yeah, there's still time. I forgot to do this at the end of the regular live show. So here's a little payoff for you guys in the regular or in the after show. Again, if you want to win this multimeter, send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and make sure you use the keyword snow in either the body or the subject to be entered to win this nice multimeter. Okay. I will leave the contest submissions open for 24 hours. So about 5:30 tomorrow, we will start looking at picking a winner. But if you would like to win this, again, this is not an auto ranging meter. This is just a regular multimeter, but it does have continuity beep test, which is very important. It also has a hold function, long battery life, and high accuracy, according to this. So
and it's free.
Yeah, and it's free. And way better than the Harbor Freight one, like we said before. So, again, contest, send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com and make sure you put snow somewhere in the subject line or title. Okay, we done?
We're done.
We done. So the next live show will be 4 weeks from now. I know it will be on, what day is that, Tim? I'll look. Oh, can I get it? Can I get a day? That'll be the 2nd.
February 2nd?
Yeah, Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day, yeah.
Groundhog Day. So our next live show will be on Groundhog Day. And we look forward to seeing all of you guys there. 5:30 p.m. Central Time, as usual. So first Thursday night of every month. Tim, my son was supposed to be born on Groundhog Day. He ended up coming early on the 31st of January. So you all have had his party by the next time we see you guys. And hopefully we'll have done some other stuff too.
4?
What?
How old was he?
5.
5. Wow. Okay.
So he will be 5. But anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys know this because we had a not so live show when he was born.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember that.
And it's the only not so live show that we've done. The only one we pre-recorded. So if you go back and find the not so live show, then you can see when my son was born. He was born at that point. But so 5 years ago, which means we've been doing the live show for at least 5 years.
At least 5.
So there you go. Anyway, well, we are so glad you could join us tonight. We're glad that you stayed on through the after show. We hope that you have a fantastic rest of your January, and we look forward to seeing you on Groundhog Day in February. And Tim, your birthday will be the month after that.
Oh, don't remind me.
So XFL game?
Maybe so. Okay. Yeah, I think so.
Do the XFL game. We'll see. But anyway, look forward to seeing you then. If you have any questions for us, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Send those in. Let us know. And if you're going through a tough time, like Tim mentioned in the regular live show, you can send a question there as well, or comment, or reach out to us, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Night, everybody. Have a
Happy
good
New
month.
Year.
Happy New Year. We'll see you in February. Bye.
Oh, yeah.